Hey Go community, this is Amber Lilly from the Gaming Outsiders community. The crew asked me on this week to share in my experiences at Blizzcon 2019. We also discussed the legacy of Hideo Kojima, including his upcoming release for Death Stranding. New games on the docket are Afterparty and Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip. Where I am looking for Mancrick's wife, this is the Gaming Outsider.
Greetings, programs, and welcome to episode 269 of The Gaming Outsider, a video game podcast with a focus on our incredible community. It's Monday, November 4th. I'm your host, Scott Clark, and I'm joined, as always, by my fellow co-host. First off, a guy that I have to imagine is going to be buying the $99.99 Avatar on PlayStation Network, Zach Parkerson.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, boy. You got to fill me in.
It is called the State of Anarchy Master of Mayhem Golden Prince Avatar. It is literally an avatar that just shows that you have a lot of money.
Well, yeah, I was going to say it's a very exclusive membership, this avatar.
Yeah. And I'm
Smart.
kind of baffled that that actually exists, and I'm probably even more baffled that somebody will be buying it. But
I mean, I guess if I was a billionaire playboy and heavily into PlayStation, I'd be like, yeah, that's right.
yeah,
That's right, I have this avatar.
I mean, it's like that. It's like those guys out in the Middle East that make a crap ton of money selling oil. I read a story about a guy that actually paid like $1 million to get the personalized license plate that he wanted that just had the number 1 on it, on his car.
And it's a pretty baller license plate.
Yeah, but is it $1 million baller? But I don't know.
Well, yeah, why give it to the less fortunate when you can buy yourself a license plate?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if you haven't been able to tell already, Chris Bernsmeyer is not here today. He's actually working. He texted me earlier and said that he got a 911 call for somebody that stubbed their toe. Not making it up. So he could not be here tonight because he had to rush for a stubbed toe. But we have a very special guest joining us. It gives me great pleasure to welcome from the community someone who butt dialed me today, Miss Amber Lilly. Amber, how you doing?
Hey, yeah, completely excited to be here. So much, in fact, that I just had to jump the gun and call you with my butt.
It was hilarious. You're the second woman that's butt dialed me this weekend, actually.
You should feel very proud.
I know. I was very excited. I'm like, why does Amber want to talk to me like right now? Like, who calls anybody anymore?
No one. I was
No
completely
one
bewildered.
answers.
That's true. Nobody answers. So, Amber, whenever we have a new guest on the show, I always like to ask you, how did you hear about the Gaming Outsider? How did you become a part of our community?
So I became a member of the community through another member. One of my old coworkers is actually a member of the community. His name is Jeffrey Manuel, and he was like, hey, I listened to these guys and they're pretty awesome and the community's really amazing, so you should look into it. And I did, and here I am.
Well, very cool. Thanks for joining us. I'm excited to talk to you, especially since you actually got to go to BlizzCon this week. That's why I wanted to make sure we had you on so you could share in your experience. I'm a little jealous. You got to play Diablo IV, and I can't wait to hear about that, but we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. I do want to give you guys a quick heads up and a shout out to the guys over at the EXP Cast because they had their Extra Life Marathon this past weekend on Saturday. Chris Bernsmeyer, Chris Owens, and myself went up there, and it was an awesome time as always. I can't wait till we can actually do one of these on our own. I wish that either of the Chris's were here so that we could kind of go back and forth. But Zach, you missed out, man. You missed out on a good time.
I always do. I always do.
That it would have been worth the drive. I mean, it was no R2V2, but it was a good time.
Well, of course, that was the event of the year.
You know what the best part is? I made my donation, and they have it all set up where they have different drawings and challenges where you can win prizes. So I did my donation at the end of the night. I won a brand new Nintendo Switch Lite, which is pretty cool. So
what goes around comes around.
Yeah, right? So I'm pretty excited. I'm this teacher. I literally put it in my backpack and showed it off to my students today at school. I said, look what I got, guys. Look what I got.
So you bragged to children that you had a Switch?
Yes, I did.
Right, well. Okay.
Which is funny because I already have a regular Switch, but now I've got 2.
Wow. Good. You need to.
You know what? I was actually considering getting one, and Nate, our producer, talked me out of it. So it was really funny when I sent him a picture with no context, just sent him a picture of it. And he assumed I bought it, and he sent back like a GIF of somebody shaking their head no, like what did you do? I'm like, no, I won this. He's like, oh, then I can't give you crap for it, which is pretty funny. So I played a lot. We did not stay for the full 24 hours because CB's heat went out and we had to leave early. But I was there for 12 to 15 hours playing games straight, and I really enjoyed that. So I haven't done a marathon that long in a long time. Amber? Do you ever do? You're a World of Warcraft person, so of course you do marathons.
Yes, so I normally only do marathons when a new expansion comes out. A bunch of us will get together and we'll be like, okay, we're going to just marathon it straight through from, old level cap to new level cap and go, 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 go. And I'm old now. I'm not as young as I used to be. So I hit like the 12-hour mark and I'm like, guys, I'm going to bed. We're only halfway done. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, they were making fun of me because around 2 o'clock, we got there at 8 in the morning. Around 2 o'clock, I started dragging because, I worked the day before and I DJ'd a dance that night and slept for maybe 5 hours and then got up to do this. So about 2 o'clock, I started nodding off. CB said that he looked over at my game and my character was just slowly moving across the screen but not doing anything. And he noticed me and I had fallen asleep on this couch. It was a pretty comfy couch. So next thing I know, they're taking pictures of me. They're like, it's only 2 o'clock, Scott. We got 16 hours to go or whatever. So, but it was a really good time. I wish we could. They gave away one of those mini arcade cabinets, like the Mortal Kombat 2. I think they're called One Up Cade or something like that. I did not win that. I would have been really cool to have that, but alas, still it came out with a Switch, which was awesome. And I also got, what else did I get? I got the Sega Genesis Mini. I got one of those. And a copy of Destiny 2 on PS4, which I love that game. It's a great campaign. So, but shout out to EXP Cast. Like I said, they put on a great event. All these just super silly challenges. They have something called the What Bucket, which is they take all these names of these really horrible games and they write them on pieces of paper and they put them in the What Bucket. And everybody has to draw one of these games on there, and then the rule is you have to play it for an hour, whatever game you draw. And if you do, you win a prize. So
was Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z in the bucket?
I do not recognize that title, but there were things like
what an atrocious game.
Shower with Your Dad Simulator was on there. Somebody had to play that for an hour. Let's see what else. I had to play Superman 64 for an hour, which was ridiculous. Mount Your Friends was in there.
That's not a bad game. That's just a repetitive one.
Yeah. There's another one, like the name is escaping me what it's called, but it's like a penis simulator. You're a top-down view of like
a penis.
Yeah.
Very anatomical.
I wish I could remember the name of that game because it was very interesting to watch for the 15 seconds that I
It's not just penis simulator.
It was a good time. They had arcade cabinets for people to play. There was barbecue that they brought from a food truck and pizza at the end of the night and Mountain Dew everywhere. I mean, Surge. Remember Surge?
Sure. Well, it's in an Amazon exclusive beverage right now.
Is it? Can you still get it on Amazon? Because that stuff is delicious. I need to get a case of that. Amber, are you old enough to remember Surge?
Yeah, definitely Surge and Tang, and my teeth hurt thinking about it. They're so sweet and so sugary.
I have never had Tang.
Oh, God.
That was the powdered one, right?
Yes, it was.
The monkeys in all the commercials, right?
Mm-hmm.
They play like during Toonami all the time.
Good old Tang.
I don't remember that either. They did have a powdered drink there. What is it? Not Game Fuel. Is it Game Fuel? The powdered stuff?
Has a bunny on it?
I don't remember there being a bunny on it, but I didn't try it. It was a powdered thing you mix with water, and it's supposed to be like an energy drink, but without the sugar. And I'm intrigued because I love energy drinks, but my wife yells at me whenever I drink them, so...
They have one that's game-themed that has like a bunny on it, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll have to go look that up.
Well,
go get Balls. That's the best. That's the gamer energy drink, man.
It's called Balls?
Yeah, BAWLS.
I've never even, I think I've heard of it, but where do you even get it? And why is it at Gamers?
The only place I can ever find it is Micro Center.
What's a Micro Center?
You don't know what a micro center is?
No.
What?
It's computer
mean,
builders mecca.
Yeah, it's Toys R Us for computer people.
I don't think we have one up here in good old Rockford, unfortunately.
Oh man. Well, they sell balls and they're tremendous. It's the best energy drink.
What is it? Is it different flavors or is it just one flavor?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, they do. They have cherry and orange and root beer.
Okay.
And every time you buy it, you have to be like, "Hey, can I get some balls?"
This episode brought to you by Balls.
Yes,
No,
there you go.
Not
I
really.
like it.
Not really.
No, but if they want to sponsor us,
Yeah,
that's great.
please contact us. Feedback at thegamingoutsider.com. We'd love to hear from you. Well, before we get too deep into this, let's go ahead and jump into the week's news. Well, Amber, one of the big reasons we wanted to talk to you outside of just it's a pleasure to speak with you is to hear about your experience at BlizzCon 2019. And you got to see all kinds of things. You've got a list of things to share with us. Where would you like to start?
Oh man, my laundry list for BlizzCon 2019 is massive. But let's start with the biggest reveal I feel like came out of that convention, and that's going to be Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He's
excited.
Yeah.
I am very excited.
You know, it's funny because BlizzCon always starts off with this big countdown. It's, we've got thousands and thousands of people in this one little bitty room, and there's these big projectors, and it starts from 30, and everybody counts down to 1 in unison, to start off BlizzCon.
Mm-hmm.
But this year was a little different because we got to 10, and everybody starts really, really hyping it up. But when we got to 5, nothing came after 5, and a trailer for Diablo 4 started.
Oh, that's clever.
And the electricity in the room was just ridiculously amazing. You can't find that anywhere else because everybody knew instantly it was Diablo 4. It was this moment we had been waiting for years, and it was finally here. It's just...
Was there more or less excitement than when Diablo Immortal was announced? Good times. Good times.
You have a phone, don't you?
It's an out-of-season April Fool's joke.
They didn't even talk about Diablo Immortal. Little side note. We didn't talk about that.
At all? Like there wasn't anywhere playable anywhere on the floor? It was, or just not during the press conference?
We didn't talk about it like during the opening. They didn't reference it at all. They didn't say, hey, look, this is coming out. But there was a little booth for it playable, so it's definitely still happening. It's still coming. Just, we're not talking about it. It'll happen, just not right now.
So tell us about the trailer, because I watched the one that showed some gameplay, and I personally I've not played Diablo 1 and 2. I've only played 3 because that was the first time it came to console. Well, no, it's not fair. Diablo 2 was on PlayStation, right? Back in the day.
I think the first one was.
The first one was not Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So I am not like massive into the lore of Diablo or the story. The only character I can remember from 3 is Deckard Cain. Is that right?
Yeah. What a name, though, huh?
That's a great name. So, did this one shed light on how the story is going to continue, or because you're the master, you're the Blizzard freak when it comes to this, and I don't know anything about it.
Oh man, I would say I was a master of Diablo. I really, really enjoy the series though. So, it's going to start off a few decades after 3.
Mm-hmm.
In the announcement trailer, we have characters, 4 men walking into a temple and trying to figure out what's going on with this temple and how to get inside to loot the temple and find treasure and stuff like that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
we always want gold. And it ends up being a very large summoning circle for Lilith. Lilith is somebody that we refer to as the mother of Sanctuary. Sanctuary is the world in which Diablo is in.
And you're kind of speaking Borderlands a little bit to me right now.
Sorry. But yeah, actually that's very, yeah, those link together quite a bit, but
Yeah.
nothing like that. This Lilith is much, much darker and much, much more sinister than our favorite siren. She is basically the person that killed all angels and demons on Sanctuary once they crossed over to make all the denizens of Sanctuary her personal army. So she is a very, very nasty woman.
Okay.
Well, she wiped out angels and demons. Some would say she's a hero.
Well, yes and no. I mean, so she actually, her and her partner, who is an archangel, actually created the first Nephilim, which are the half angel, half demon race in Diablo. And I would not say she's a hero in the slightest, but we will see what Old Mother has in store for us in Diablo 4, because
Old Mother.
Because they would not say anything else about storyline. Just that Lilith is here, and we will have to see what she has in store.
All right, now you got hands-on with the game as well, correct?
Correct. Yes, sure did.
And there are 3 classes. We got Barbarian, Sorceress, and Druid. Which of the 3 did you get a chance to try?
So I played Druid and Sorceress.
Okay.
I played it twice just because the demo was that good. I think so far the Druid is definitely my favorite of the 2 that I got to play. He feels very, very scrappy. He's a melee character.
Uh-huh.
He runs with a pack of wolves. When he melees, he turns into a very lanky lichen type character, except when he does like a pummel or a stun, he'll turn into a really large bear character. And then you've got, the Druid lore of them, harnessing the elements. He can throw boulders, he can summon storms. He's a really, really nice, beefy, tanky character, and I really, really enjoyed playing with him.
All right. Were you playing with other people at the same time?
Yes. So demo stations were set up in 4s. We could add people to our party at leisure. So my husband was with me during BlizzCon, so we were able to form a party and run around. But Diablo 4 has kind of an MMO feel, where you're actually going to see people in the environment that are not part of your party, and they will be killing things that you kill and stuff like that.
Well, that's new.
Yes, it's very, very new.
So, okay, so you were in a station of 4, but there's only 3 characters. Were there 4 in your group, or was it 3 in your group, and then you just happened to see the other guy or other people from other stations?
So that I'm not quite sure. So there was only really 2 people in my group, me and my husband Anthony, and then we would see random other people. So
Gotcha.
whether that means they were people in my party or in my conjunction like group of things or whatever, I'm not really sure.
So this really does smell a lot more like an MMO than Diablo 3. Again, I can't compare to 1 and 2, but for someone that's scared to death of MMOs like I am just because of the time sink, should I be nervous, or am I still going to have a good time with this like I did with 3?
No. It's not an MMO. Don't get it confused with being an MMO. I think the only thing that's really going to feel that way is that you're going to be able to see other people. We're not really sure how we're going to be able to interact with those people yet, but as far as them helping us kill things and stuff, so we'll see. We still have a couple of years of development, so.
I was going to say at least. This is going to be a long time before we get this game. Did they give any hint of even a quarter or a year?
Soon, TM.
See, that's the Diablo, or that's the Blizzard phrase, right?
Definitely.
So are you chomping at the bit for this one as much as I am?
Yes, 100% yes. I came home from BlizzCon and my first thought was, I've played Diablo 4 the last 2 days. What am I going to do without being able to play Diablo 4 today?
Yeah.
So I'm very, very ready, but I'll just have to be patient and hope that they're going to come out with a good product. They did say that it's coming out for PC, Xbox One, PS4, and no, not Switch, just Xbox One, PS4, and PC. So that leads me to believe that it'll be sooner rather than later because we're ending the end of the console generation lifespan.
I was gonna say if we're looking at Scarlet and PS5 coming out in fall of next year, does that mean this game would come out late next year? Because that's sooner than I was expecting.
That is very, very much sooner than I was expecting. I expect that we'll get it on Xbox One, PS4, and then they'll probably also come out with versions for Scarlet and PS5 because those will be out. I do not believe that we're gonna get those before, before the launch of the new gen cycle.
Well, to be fair, that's what they did with Diablo 3, isn't it? Because I remember playing it on Xbox 360, and then when they got it, they let you actually port your character from 360 to the Xbox One version, but you couldn't go back. So maybe they just do this every console generation. We get a new Diablo game.
Well, I mean, considering we haven't had a Diablo in a really long time on console, maybe not.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, thanks for that. Zach, did you have any questions about, or are you even a Diablo guy? I don't remember.
Well, man, Diablo 2 is probably my most played video game of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the right age to put in like 1,200 hours. I thought Diablo 3 was okay. I felt like it was missing something. Either I outgrew the genre or it was missing like a little bit of something.
Yeah.
Right. It's hard for me to get excited for Diablo 4 right now because I'm still on the like, it's only been 2 weeks and we're already past the China thing.
Oh, yeah.
With Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess lines up with my constant battering of the gamer's memory is 2 weeks long.
You knew it was going to happen.
Of course, yeah, no, I mean, this is why Diablo 4 is playable, so you will forget about Hearthstone stuff.
The crazy thing is that they didn't forget about it at all. They acknowledged it at BlizzCon. You know, whether they could actually ever do enough to say we're sorry, I don't feel like they ever could, but they acknowledged the elephant in the room. There was a lot of peaceful protesters at BlizzCon. They were handing out shirts that said, you know, I stand with May. They were handing out like pamphlets that detailed, you know, the crisis in Hong Kong and what you could do to help. And so there was a lot of things going on dealing with Hong Kong.
I did like, it looked grim, looked very grim, the trailer.
Yes.
Which I appreciate. Diablo 3 felt like it was a little brighter.
Yes.
It just always felt off.
They are bringing Diablo 4 very much back to the style of Diablo 2. There's actually an advisory right before the beginning opening ceremonies that's like, this is probably not good for your kids. So if you're worried about that, you can go to this area that is not going to have this playing because it's gory, it's just very bloody, very, very ritualistic. It's really digging back into those roots.
It was very satanic and metal, which is what I wanted.
Did you get to watch the announcement trailer, not the gameplay trailer?
I think that's what I watched. I didn't really, with like Lilith and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. I was into it.
Yeah, I watched just the gameplay one. I missed the cinematic one for some reason.
I'm gonna take a No Man's Sky stance and just refuse to forgive them for right now. Although they didn't straight up lie, I guess it'll never be as bad as No Man's Sky.
Yeah, that's a touchy situation, but I have thoughts on that myself. But I will keep them to myself for now.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, Diablo 4. I'm sure it'll be great. I'm actually pretty pumped for Diablo Immortal.
The cell phone one.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it's a hot take, but I think Diablo is perfect for mobile. I think, especially Diablo 3, like it's just a simple game to play. You point, you click, you kill the guy, you pick up your loot.
Right.
Like that is almost ideal for a mobile platform.
Yeah, but for the amount of hours I put into Diablo 3, which I can't claim the 1,200 hours that you put into Diablo 2, but I
was a younger man then, Scott.
Well, but I
had nothing but time.
I feel confident in saying I put over 200 hours into Diablo 3, but you're not wrong. There's not a whole lot that you have to do in that game. That was my favorite game to sit and just talk with a friend. My friend DA from the group, DA Cheney, who, by the way, not far from you, Amber. She lives in your neck of the woods. She was my Diablo 3 buddy every Friday night. As soon as I got off work, I would go downstairs and fire up Diablo 3, and we would just play all night long until I couldn't stay awake anymore. And it was just a great game to sit there and have a conversation with, because you're playing it, but you don't have to. It's not like playing a first-person shooter that's super twitchy and you got to like be on point all the time. It's just a very chill game that looks gorgeous and interesting things happen, and the loot grind is great. So I'm looking forward to more of that, because it's also never-ending, technically, isn't it? Because I felt like I could have just got those Paragon classes up for forever and never maxed them out, but I don't know. I dropped off after a while just because there was other games to play.
Doesn't it seem perfect for mobile? Play it 5 minutes while you're standing in line.
That's the thing, though, is like if I'm playing, I want to be playing with somebody. Playing that game by myself was no fun. I tried to play Diablo 3 but alone. It just
You know what? You make a tremendous point. Diablo 3 I did play I played entirely alone. So I probably played into it. Whereas Diablo 2 I had like a whole community of friends and stuff.
Yeah. So I want to play it with somebody, and I can't find a match, someone that I'm going to talk to and have some fun conversations while I'm playing, while I'm staying in line at the bank.
You make a good point, man.
So I want this on my console.
Never mind. I'm not excited for Diablo Immortal anymore.
Broken
Gotta talk me out of it.
Look at that. I didn't know I could persuade you that easily. Oh, well, let's go ahead and move on. I don't want to talk. As excited as I am about Diablo 4, I don't want to talk about it the entire episode. What else did you see, Amber?
I got to get hands-on with Overwatch 2 as well, both the new PvP and PvP options.
So talking about PvE, because this is a first for Overwatch. It's only been PvP up to this point, so they're going to have... Is this like Destiny-style PvE stuff, or...?
Oh, well, it kind of feels that way a little. There's no loot. So that you don't have to worry about that. But your characters, they are going to level up. There are a couple of different talent options that you can pick to make your abilities work different. And of course, it's party-based. And depending on the missions that you're doing, because they are trying to actually tell a narrative this time and tell the story, you actually have to pick from those party members which characters you're going to pick in that mission.
Mm-hmm.
So they do limit you in that way. The mission that we got to play, you could either pick from May, Lucio, Tracer, or Reinhardt. So they gave us, of course, a full party, with heals and all that good stuff. And it was just, us killing a bunch of the robot people. I can't remember their names for some crazy reason. But waves and waves of enemies, of course. You're progressing through the story. You would hit certain points where there would be like chests, and you would get an item kind of Apex style, where the chest would open and it would have 4 different items with different loot qualities.
Sure.
And one person could pick up each item, and then you could use that item. Whether it's like there's health stations, there's grenades, there's like barriers and stuff like that, to kind of help out with your party and stuff. And at the very end of it, there's a very large boss fight with different mechanics as far as like staying out of things, kind of like World of Warcraft raid style, and different enemies that have to be focused down faster than the other ones because they'll kill you faster, and objectives. You have to kill this core before you can kill the boss to end the encounter and stuff like that. So it was involved, but it was a lot of fun.
My big question with this is if this game feels, and I know it's way early because, again, it's Blizzard and who knows when this is going to happen, but it feels, and a lot of our community feels this way as well on Discord, much like a DLC expansion instead of a numbered sequel. Because the big thing that I read is that people from Overwatch 1 are going to be able to play with people from Overwatch 2. So the whole PvP thing, you can just do that with Overwatch 1, your Overwatch 1 disc or download if you've got it. So are you really just paying for the PvE stuff when you buy Overwatch 2, or is there more to it that we just haven't seen yet?
So Blizzard's commentary on that was they're trying to break the cycle of the sequel. So yes, you're completely correct. If you're playing Overwatch 1, you can play all of the new maps, all of the new characters. You'll get all of the upgraded engine models and all of that good stuff. You just won't get the PvE. But the reason why they're doing that is they want all of your hard work from Overwatch 1 to carry over.
Mm-hmm.
So, all of your skins, they don't want you to lose that. It feels really bad, all of the time that you put in working towards those skins. Or if you just so happen to buy loot boxes and that's your thing, all of the money that you spent, they don't want that to get left behind. So I don't know if this is going to be a $59.99 price point type game. It very much could come out, a $39.99 price point game or a $29.99 price point game. We'll just have to see the way it rolls. I, for one, in my personal opinion, am not mad about buying a PvE experience because I really want to play that to support a company that is putting out pretty decent content that I'm interested in.
I would probably argue, and this is coming from a guy that's not like a massive Blizzard fan. Have they put out a bad game in years?
So they put out unbalanced games sometimes, but I wouldn't say they're bad.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I don't really elect to put the label bad on most games.
Well, I mean, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.
Right, exactly.
I'm so mad he beat me to the punch.
Oh, man. But personally, I play almost everything Blizzard comes out with, and that might be because it's on my launcher, or it could be that they're really great in integrating their games back and forth. Because, if you play X amount on this game, you get something for World of Warcraft. If you play X amount on this game, you get something for Overwatch.
Oh.
So all of their games kind of intertwine and give you an experience that you can enjoy, like crossover-wise.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of that experience to start is free, or they give you the ability to try it for free at some point. Because you have free Overwatch weekends, StarCraft up to a point is free. Overwatch World of Warcraft up to 20 is free. So they give you a lot of chance to try before you buy and really enjoy the things that you're enjoying, and then enjoy them in other ways in other places too.
It
intrigues me that they say they're breaking the cycle of the sequel, because I feel like games have been doing that for a while now. With like Fortnite or Minecraft or Warframe.
Well, see,
I was saying, like, if they put this out, if the Overwatch 2 thing is $20, the PvE, then that makes sense. But if it is 60, I think that would be a huge hurdle.
I believe you. I agree and disagree at the exact same time. So, like, you bring up Fortnite and Warframe. They have seasons. They don't have sequels. It's not exactly the same thing, but they're not with Warframe and Fortnite. Those are all free to play anyway, even though you're going to spend more than $60 because you're going to buy season stuff and you're going to buy cosmetics and stuff like that. So you're spending the money anyway. Whereas, Overwatch is actually kind of breaking and going, okay, we were telling you the story of Overwatch before the Omnic Crisis, and now with Overwatch 2, we're actually going to tell you the story after the Omnic Crisis, because we're still telling a narrative. So they do have a small break in content as far as actually telling the narrative before and after the Omnic Crisis. But you're right. They are, it is a little mashed up considering that.
It's like an argument of semantics, right?
Yeah, it's definitely that.
Because Destiny, I guess Destiny did have the 2 break, but Warframe, like they keep a story ongoing, or even their very own World of Warcraft. They never put a World of Warcraft 2 out, but they kept telling a story. It's just I wonder what the impetus was to put a 2 on it. That's all.
I couldn't give you that, but yeah, I completely understand. And that's actually
it intrigues me. I'm sorry, like in this live service era of ours. Like I want to know. I want to meet the marketing guy who said you got to put a 2 on it.
Could have something to do with the new characters, because there are new characters in this one, right?
There are new characters, but those characters were referenced in Overwatch 1, so they're not completely new characters. Like, we knew the 2 new characters that have been talked about already, Echo and Sojourn, we knew about them already. We've been waiting for those characters to come out for a while. I think maybe it has to do some of it with the engine upgrade. It's not a new engine, but the new character models look very, very more defined, and the shading is better. You can definitely tell some time has passed. When you look at Tracer from Overwatch 1 and Tracer for Overwatch 2, they look like different people. So I think maybe it helps with the passage of time as well, because, I mean, it's been years.
What about this new multiplayer mode called Push? And again, you're gonna have to answer this to our community and not me because I've not played Overwatch other than I played a little bit of the beta and I got like a 17 kill streak and I said I'm out. I pulled a George Costanza and like I'm quitting while I'm ahead.
Yeah, that's pretty much my Overwatch experience.
Yeah. So for those that actually do play this game, we got a community on Discord that is really into this. What is Push and how is it different from the regular game?
Sure. So Push is essentially a King of the Hill type game. You have this one robot that starts in the very center of the map, and the map is symmetrical. It's the same, like both paths are the same. So
like
this
a Gears
robot,
map.
Yeah, so the robot starts in the middle, and there are two barriers. And so when your characters from your team get on the robot and are the only ones present on the robot, he turns towards your barrier and pushes your barrier towards the end of the map.
Mm-hmm.
When the opposite team comes and kills you, if they team kill you, he turns around, moving quite a bit faster, and runs to their barrier and starts pushing their barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So he's quite a bit faster when he's not pushing a barrier, running back and forth. And then, of course, he slows down once he pushes the barrier.
Okay.
Now, there are points in the map that are kind of like checkpoints. And when you hit a checkpoint with your barrier, it puts a spawn point. It moves your spawn point up. So it's like you're advancing.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, whoever pushes the barrier farther in the time limit wins. The devs have come out and said they don't normally see the barrier go all the way to the end, unless it's like a completely like overwhelming one-sided game. Yeah, but it's making it to where there are like with the paths being the same, there are cut-throughs. So you're having these King of the Hill type battles all over the map. So there are many more chances to have different outcomes. The map's very flanky, so there's ways to get behind each other very, very easily and just overtake the other people and split teams and stuff like that. So it's offering lots more strategy than just a regular King of the Hill, take the point type map.
That's really clever.
Yes, it sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, that almost makes me want to watch Overwatch.
They're gonna put it in Overwatch League pretty soon as well. So we will see Push quite a few different places.
Okay. Well, there's a couple reasons I don't play Overwatch. Number one, I'm not a massive multiplayer guy, although I do like games that are balanced in terms of. I mean, this isn't as balanced as Gears. And Zach and I, if you've listened to the show, you know that we just love Gears because everybody has the same loadout, everybody has basically the same character, even though they look different. But another reason that I've avoided Overwatch is because I didn't jump in at the beginning. And I feel like if I were to start now, I would be completely lost. However, sometimes when a 2 comes out for a game, you can kind of get a fresh start and jump back on and get back in. Do you get the feeling that I'm going to be able to do that with this, or am I going to be completely lost since I haven't played 9,000 hours of Overwatch 1?
So they're constantly reformatting characters and changing up how they play and how their abilities synergize with other people. I wouldn't say that it's going to be a complete wipe, but I would say that the PvE experience will give you more time to adjust to a character's abilities and their movement and the way that they synergize with other characters to be able to experience that in PvE and then jump into PvP being more knowledgeable about each character and unstressed to learn that character or you're going to get killed. So I feel like it's going to be a very good introduction to people who do not play PvP or are intimidated by the PvP to learn the characters and then maybe dip their toes into the PvP.
Interesting. Who knows, Zach? Maybe it'll pull us back in. What do you think?
No. I mean, I hope it's cool, but it's not.
Well,
I love watching all the cinematics for Overwatch. I watch all of those, all the animated little movies basically they do.
Well, maybe that's something that's going to draw you in. Every story mission is going to have an opening cinematic and a closing cinematic, so you're going to get those bits of story in there.
That intrigues me much more than anything else that's happened. I'm just not a big multiplayer guy, and for me, I don't know. you got to be doing something weird with your multiplayer. I feel like for me to stick around, or be Gears, I guess. But
You say that,
Yeah.
and we still haven't played Gears 5 together.
it's
At
true.
all.
Yeah. Or you have a giant robot that falls from the sky. I like multiplayer games like that.
Titanfall. Oh man, I may have to jump back into that now. So
Stand by.
so good. Well, Amber, those are the two big ones from BlizzCon. I know you saw a lot more there. And before I ask you what else you saw, I just want to give a shout out to you in our Discord community because you posted a bunch of pictures that you took while you were visiting there. So if anybody's interested, be sure to check out our Discord. The link is in the show notes. And she took lots and lots of pictures of stuff over there at BlizzCon, and it looked really awesome. And thanks for doing that. That was really cool. What else did you see? What else it was at BlizzCon? Because that's all I really know about.
So of course there was the new World of Warcraft expansion experience. They allowed us to dip our toes into one of the new zones and mess with a few of the new mechanics. They're being kind of tight-lipped about that, but we got to get in and get a small generalized feel for some of the newer stuff that they're going to do with the new expansion. We got our hands on the new Hearthstone expansion, dealing with dragons, so that's really fun and interesting. I don't play a huge amount of Hearthstone, but it's fun to be able to pick up and, play a match when I'm on my lunch break or whatever and be able to put it down. Other than that, there's so much when it comes to BlizzCon. It's a magical place that you don't have time to do everything. When you buy a ticket to BlizzCon, they actually give you the virtual ticket that they do for free because they know you can in no way do or see everything there. So you can go back and actually watch the things that you've missed on the ticket because there's so many panels going on at once. There's probably 4 panels going on at once, all day for 2 days. You don't catch everything that you want to catch. There's no way.
Did you catch any panels?
Yeah, no, it's, tons of them. There's voice actor panels for both Overwatch and World of Warcraft. There was a community night that they did for like all of the talent, whether the people made movies, for cosplays, for musical talent, stuff like that. That was actually hosted by Darren Nepal. He's the voice actor for Reinhardt. And then Matt Mercer and Laura Bailey, who are, do Critical Role. So that's pretty cool. You get to meet so many people that you wouldn't normally think you would be able to meet because they all run around the show floor, and you get really starstruck if you pay attention because there's lots of people.
You met Laura Bailey?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you congratulate her on her role as Kaine in Nier?
I didn't, and so
Gosh darn it.
There are just so many things you want to tell these people, but you get so starstruck, and so because you don't think that you're going to see them, that you're like, oh, I should have said this thing, or I should have made this point, or I should have got them to sign this thing, and you just have done none of that, and it happens.
That's really that's awesome. And you mentioned Darren DePaul. We've got I believe we have don't we have a bumper for him, Zach? Do we have him doing the intro for our episode? Or am I thinking Davin? Okay. I'm going to feel really bad if I don't remember.
Know. Yeah. Scrub this out, Nate.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But, well, thanks for all the info, Amber. It sounds like you had an amazing time. And I know you're even sharing your hotel room. You had like a real swanky hotel there. It was pretty fancy.
Yeah. No, Hyatt House was really, really nice. Had a full kitchen and all that good stuff that I didn't use because I was never there.
No time, right? Just pretty much slept and that's it.
Yeah.
Hey, it's like going to E3, Scott.
Yeah. Well, except we did do things. We just recorded for 4 hours and edited.
What did we do? We talked about we ate Taco Bell and then recorded and then slept.
Yeah. We went to LA and ate Taco Bell.
Oh, that sounds horrible.
We did.
Like, seriously.
Well, Scott is too afraid to try any other food. So
I tried some food and it was awful.
True. Fair enough.
We had Korean barbecue, and you talked about Korean barbecue all week long, and this place we went was not good.
It was subpar.
Yeah.
That's not. Don't base Korean food off of that.
Well, next time You need to do some research and find a place near where we're staying. I will try again if you promise to do some research instead of
Fine.
just finding Korean barbecue written on a sign somewhere, and let's go in there.
That's the fun part, Scott.
No, it's not.
Stop trying to make you get Subway.
Hey, we went to. How many times did we have Taco Bell? Like 4 times that week.
Well, that that was great.
That's so sad.
And it's like the supposedly the best tacos in the in the country. And
Well, Taco Bell's the best food in the nation. So
no, I'm talking about people would disagree with you, Zach. I love Taco Bell just as much, but there are better tacos out there. We just chose to go
that
Taco Bell.
that close to Mexico. No, I don't believe it.
Well, that was really cool, Amber. Thanks so much for sharing that. It's really cool to be able to talk to you about those experiences. You're making me really want to play Diablo 4, and I'm kind of jealous of you because I really want to go play, and now we won't be able to for another year and a half or something. So, but very cool.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely look forward to it.
Cool. I had one other story I wanted to mention very quickly. I know none of us are big sports game fanatics. However, a lot of our community has been clamoring for an NCAA football game for quite a long time, and there seems that there might be a glimmer of hope that it could happen. It's very, very early stages, but on Tuesday, which will be the day this episode releases, there's a group that's going to be meeting with the NCAA to propose changes for name, image, and likeness rights of college athletes. As you guys know, they put the nix on that. See what I did there? Basketball. Anyway, they put a stop to college athletes being able to get paid for the use of their image and likeness and their name in games, because basically somebody complained, a player complained that they weren't getting paid, and the NCAA was like, well, you're done, and we're just not going to do it at all. So it's a long uphill battle. It's not going to happen right away, but it's good to see that talks are starting, and it gets even murkier when it comes down to individual states' laws and what they allow. I think it's going to be a long time that this happens, but I'm happy for those people that have been wanting an NCAA football game for a long time, and I think it's pretty cool. What do you think, Zach?
Well, I think that it's cool that there's a possibility of NCAA games again, but more exciting is, hey, these people that are the reason that the NCAA makes billions every year finally get some money.
Yeah, I really don't understand why that's even an argument, to be honest with you.
It's utterly mind-blowing that it has gone on this long without the actual athletes getting paid. I understand they're getting their school paid for, but when you look at how much the coaches make, that argument quickly falls apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't get me started.
So, hey, good. NCAA.
Am I correct in assuming you're not much of a sports gamer, Amber?
No, I'm not. I'm not really at all. However, I work in an environment where I deal with a lot of sports gamers, and the question and the want for NCAA now is I get it at least twice a week. Hey, can I play this, on Xbox One, PS4? When's the last time NCAA came out? So the want for it is very, very real.
Yeah. I know one of the last ones that they released, Zach, you'll appreciate this, actually had the Rockford football teams in there. Like, that's how detailed they went in it. You could play as the Rock Valley, I don't even know the mascot for the Rock Valley, whatever it is.
What a bad Rockfordian
I just don't care. But if I were into collegiate football, it would be really cool to play as the team in the town that I actually live in. That wasn't Chicago or Indianapolis or some of these bigger cities. The fact that you get all those smaller teams like that, I think, is pretty cool, and people really like it. So I know people have been clamoring for forever. I hope for their sake that it happens.
I haven't worked at GameStop in many years, but I remember being asked several times. I feel like every shift about NCAA. Mm-hmm. And when is going to come back and stuff.
Well, CB told me because he's trying to collect he's working on this GameCube collection right now. And one of the rarest titles that he's got on there, believe it or not, is it 2003? It was the last year of NCAA football. And it was the reason that it's so rare is because they pulled it like halfway through after it was released, like shortly after they released it. So the copies that are actually out there in the wild are few and far between because they had to get rid of the others. So one of the rare titles on the GameCube is an NCAA football game, which is shocking because every sports game on any console is like in the bargain bin.
Well, yeah, it's like 10 cents.
Yeah. So
they give you a penny for it when you trade it in.
Yeah, pretty much. If that.
But really, they just want you to. Yeah, really, they just want to throw it away.
Yeah, I mean that's if they take them anymore. So many of those old sports games, they're like, nah, I don't want that. And people are like, what? Bought it for $60. No, I really don't want that.
Yeah, I get it. But so fingers crossed for all those NCAA fans, and yeah, pay the athletes, man. They're making you the money.
It doesn't feel like rocket science, you know.
It really doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know. Is it because they're kids? I mean, they're not kids. They're adults. They're not children.
Right. Well, I feel like the argument is always like, you know, they're getting their education paid for, and they're going to make so much when they get to the NFL that it doesn't. What does it matter now?
Okay. They're making so much money, man. Like it's.
Yeah. No. I'm on your side. I think the NCAA is pretty gross in that they don't pay the athletes, and that everyone else is making money except for the people who are the reason the thing exists in the first place.
Exactly.
Is pretty absurd.
I agree, 100%. Well, let's go ahead and move on. I do want to give a shout out. CB's not here to talk about Patreon, but our Retro Outsider episode for Final Fantasy is available. You can check that out right now. Shortly after this episode airs, you should hear our Halloween episode that was recorded this past weekend. We apologize that did not come out in time for Halloween, but schedules happen, man. Life happened. And you'll be able to hear them talk about some Halloween games. I believe that was Chad, CB, and Nate recorded that episode. Had some fun time playing that, so be sure to look out for that one. And then for the month of November, I'm not sure what we're going to do for a third episode yet, but we promised we were going to do a third one to make up for the October one being late. We are going to do an episode on Tron, and I'm talking about the movies. We're going to watch the original Tron and Tron Legacy, and also play some Tron video games and have a whole... How many times can I say Tron in one segment?
You're helping our SEO.
We're going to have a whole
screaming
Tron-themed episode for Patreon. Also, because some people want it for some reason, we're going to do an episode of Glee, the television show. We're going to talk about the first season and actually play the Glee video game that CB has. It's a singing game.
And we're going to do it entirely in song.
The entire episode will be in song?
Yep, we will all be on verse.
There's no such thing as a bad game.
Just games that aren't for you.
You know how hard that would be to do an entire episode song?
I feel like our throats would be killing us.
Oh, it would be ridiculous. But yes, we are still looking for ideas for a third episode for the month of November. So we need some help from you guys for ideas. If there is a retro game that you would like us to review, good or bad, we could do a Retro Outsider episode. We could do a Games That Aren't For Us episode. If there is some game series that you think deserves a legacy episode, pitch us an idea and we will try to see if we can't put one out there. But if any of those episodes sound interesting to you and you'd like to see what's out there or like to help us pay for the show, you can head over to patreon.com/thegocast. $3 a month will get you access to all of our bonus content, and we really do appreciate the support. And you get access to everything that we've done so far. So $3 really is a steal at this point with everything that's out there. With that, we're going to go ahead and jump into our From the Outside In topic. With Death Stranding releasing in the near future, I wanted to talk a bit about the game's creator, Hideo Kojima. And Amber, I must be pronouncing it incorrectly because you said it a little bit different. How do you actually pronounce his name?
I thought that's how I said it, but it could just be that I'm from the South.
Say his name one more time.
Hideo Kojima?
Hideo? Okay, maybe I'm just mishearing it.
Hideo Kojima?
Hideo Kojima. Yeah. Well, I've heard people say...
I don't feel like she's saying it any different, man.
Maybe I'm just hearing things. I've heard some people say Hideo Kojima, but in my mind it was...
definitely not Hideo.
Okay.
I don't even think this pronunciation makes sense in the Japanese. Kojima, maybe. I don't know.
Well, he's somewhat of a legend. He is a legend in the video game industry. He's known for being an innovator of all things all the games that he creates, but the reviews have dropped for his latest title, and people seem very divisive about they feel about Kojima. So we want to kind of discuss his history, his games, and how we feel about the upcoming title. So to start out, I'm going to pass the reins over to the industry expert to tell us all about Kojima's history. Zach, what can you tell us about Kojima-san?
Well, I like how I'm an industry expert now, all of a sudden.
Well, between you and me, you're the expert, so.
Well, Hideo Kojima, yeah, like you said, he is no doubt one of the most important game developers ever. But hey, guess what? He originally wanted to be, so surprise the hell out of you, a film director. Who could have seen that coming?
Everybody that's ever played a Kojima game.
Yes. Hideo Kojima was he went to economics college, and then decided he was going to be a film director, and then got hooked on the Famicom, and couldn't stop playing it. So he decided, no, I will direct video games instead. And then he applied for, could not get a job at Nintendo. Eventually got a job at Konami, which he was pretty disappointed about because they were not Nintendo, which I think is kind of adorable. I wanted to work for the other guys.
Could you?
It's pretty funny.
Man,
and then
I'm just imagining a world where Kojima worked at Nintendo.
that'd be a hell of a Metroid game.
Yeah, it would.
Luigi's Mansion would be a lot scarier. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'd be into that. He got hired as a scenario planner and director. The first thing he did was directed the hit classic Penguin Adventure. We've all played that one.
I have not played that. What is Penguin Adventure?
No one has played Penguin Adventure. Then he made his own pitch, started designing a little game called Lost World, not World for some reason. It makes sense since he's later going to call it Transfarring instead of Transferring for no reason. But that pitch did not get accepted. Konami thought it sounded lame. So he helped salvage a failing project called Metal Gear.
It was Metal Gear was a failing project?
Right. It was supposed to be a top-down military action game, but the MSX could not handle the amount of action on screen, which led to Kojima saying, well, what if we took the action out? Because one of his favorite movies is The Great Escape, where they're sneaking around behind enemy lines.
Okay. Interesting. I never knew that about Metal Gear.
So his idea was take all the guns away, and all of a sudden you have a stealth action game. It's still action-oriented, but you're not doing any of the shooting, really.
Was this be considered the first stealth game?
No, there are. It's one of those like hilarious things where you look back at the past and you're like, hey, these 4 or 5 things all happened at once.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't really point to any game that really created the genre,
Sure.
but it was amongst the first, yes.
Okay. Isn't Metal Gear also the one that has the infamous line of horrible translation where he says, I feel asleep?
The American translation is garbage,
Yeah.
yes. Something Kojima would complain about for many decades.
Yeah.
Until Metal Gear Solid 3 comes out. But then he transferred, made a little game called Snatcher, which is a game you could say is inspired by Blade Runner. I would say is Blade Runner. Is it a cyberpunk visual novel where you're hunting down androids who look and sound exactly like humans? Some would say that you're retiring these replicants. That game did okay, and then it had a weird RPG spinoff where it was chipified, which is kind of weird. But he just kind of produced that. But when Konami produced a sequel to Metal Gear in America, just called Metal Gear 2, that was not overseen by Kojima. And he learned about it when he was riding a train. And a coworker was like, hey, man, check out the Metal Gear 2? And he's like, what? And he's like, man, you should make a true sequel. And that kind of enraged Kojima to the point where he made Metal Gear 2.
So which one was which one was Snake's Revenge?
That's the one we got that's not real.
Oh, okay.
Konami just made that game without his approval or anything.
Wow.
Which is fine, it's their property. But what a weird thing to do to
the guy that made the game what it is.
Right. But he learned about it, got mad, and started writing the script for Metal Gear 2 like that night. So I guess it all worked out in the end.
But we never got that game in the States.
Solid Snake?
Yeah.
Not until Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence.
Mm.
Where they would put that out, as well as a retranslated version of Metal Gear.
Interesting.
And he made a quick pit stop, tried to do another visual novel called Police Knots. It's also very cyberpunk sci-fi. It came and went.
Okay.
But then, hey, he made this little, he had the Metal Gear train rolling. He was like, well, now that we had 3D technology, I could do sweeping camera shots, voice acting, make a movie. So he made Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, he did.
And changed the video game industry forever.
It did change a lot, yeah.
There's no question. And then we really get to, he really steamrolls into makes Metal Gear Solid 2.
Which, by the way, I liked.
Yes, he was. Kojima proved himself the greatest troll in gaming history with Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh, that was great.
By putting Solid Snake in all of the advertisements, even though you were playing as Raiden, which I love. And I feel like he did that to mess with people.
In more ways than one.
Yeah, I mean, that whole game is designed to mess with you.
The first time I played through it, I kept going, okay, so when do I get Snake again? When does that happen? And it just doesn't.
Joke's on you, man.
Yeah. It's kind of great.
It's great. Metal Gear Solid 2, tremendous game.
Oh, it's still really good. Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit.
The plot gets a little heavy-handed, but I'm into that. So then he jumps over to like producing and giving like design oversight to a couple games. Zone of the Enders second runner. Boktai, The Sun Is in Your Hand, the Game Boy Advance game where you have to go outside in the sun to play it.
You talked about that last week, didn't you?
I did, yes. It's ridiculous because the sun glare on a Game Boy Advance screen makes it impossible to play Boktai, but you need the sun to play Boktai. It's ridiculous. Love that game though. And then there's Zone of the Enders sequel, Boktai sequel, Solar Boy Django, D Silent Hillbillies. And then he comes through with what I would say is magnum opus, Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, I think is the best Metal Gear Solid. We could probably talk about that later. But that's, jump back to the 60s. And then the Konami train starts rolling. You get Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes, which is a remake of Metal Gear Solid 1 for GameCube, with weird cutscenes that were directed by an anime director and are outrageous and over the top. Metal Gear Solid Acids 1 and 2, which are fun little puzzle games. Then you have Portable Ops, which is the first PSP Metal Gear Solid. And then he jumps over and you get a third Boktai game called Lunar Nights, which makes no sense that you would
just not keep the Boktai name.
No, yeah. Oh, sorry, that's a fourth Boktai game. Yeah, it's also a sci-fi game instead of vampire hunting adventure. I don't really understand.
So did you have to go out in the sun for that one as well?
I think only the first two had you going out in the sun, and the sequel I remember had like items you could find where you could restore your sun energy, even if you weren't outside.
Okay.
What a weird fun. That's so Kojima, by the way.
Yeah.
I want to make you play this game outside because I can.
Yeah. Why not?
Make a 60-hour walking simulator one day. Then Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots. This begins his announcements that he will retire after every game he makes. And he will never do it. I'm going to walk away from Metal Gear Solid. He didn't. That game really wrapped everything up beautifully, if you ask me. Metal Gear Online, Metal Gear Solid Touch, Metal Gear Arcade also come out during this time. Then you get Peace Walker, which is a PSP game directed and written by Hideo Kojima, which he said he would retire and walk away from the franchise after. Then he helps out with Lords of Shadow. You remember that? I totally forgot about that until I was researching this.
I did not remember that he worked on Lords of Shadow. No clue.
I remember in the marketing, they like played it up so huge. They were like Kojima Productions.
Right, when he didn't really help much with the Western localization at all, except for like a little bit of a character tweak.
Yeah, but hey, you could wear Snake's bandana in that game, so that's pretty sweet. Then they drop a little game called PT, which is a stealth silent announcement for Silent Hills, if you could ever finish it. Thank God the internet was around.
Yeah, I don't know how...
I don't know how people got it the first time.
Seriously, it's so convoluted to finish that thing, man.
Well, I mean, Kojima himself said he wanted to stump players for months, and then it ended up stumping people for about a week and a half.
Yep. Yeah.
That is impressive in the internet age to even take that long.
Yeah.
But hey,
had to do just ridiculous things to get from room to room in that. Like stare at a phone for a certain number of seconds and then spin around 3 times or I don't
only answer the phone on the fourth ring, but only the third time down the hallway.
Yeah.
Then do a push up. The PlayStation camera will track you.
Wait, was that for real?
No.
I was going to say, holy cow, I don't remember.
See, but isn't it awesome that because Kojima's name is attached, that is a thing that could happen?
Yeah, like I would have believed you. If you said, yeah, for sure, Scott, you had to do a push-up. You don't remember doing a push-up? I played the game. And you almost told me that I had to do a push-up in front of the camera to do it.
Then you get the Metal Gear Solid 5 announcement and I think we get Ground Zeroes before it all goes to hell.
Oh, you did not like Phantom Pain?
No, I meant for Kojima.
Oh, okay.
Because Phantom Pain, remember, like during the lead up, he split with Konami. We still don't have the full details there. They cancel Silent Hills, and they start like removing his name from the marketing for Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, which comes out to rave reviews, even though, to your point, Scott, I actually did not like that game very much.
I didn't either. I didn't make it very far, though, to be fair. I didn't really give it a fair shake. I played Ground Zeroes and was kind of turned off by that.
I liked Ground Zeroes. Hilariously, I did not think there was enough story in The Phantom Pain for me. I was like, where are all the cutscenes at?
You wanted the
Why
cutscene.
isn't Kiefer Sutherland talking more?
And,
I know what I come to Kojima for. Don't you try to trick me, sir.
and we still don't know really what happened with Kojima and
Yes,
Konami,
I would.
do we?
It had to be brutal, right? Because you cancel your game, which had other big names attached, Del Toro, Norman Reedus, and is one of your major franchises, and then you start ripping his name off of boxes. Like, that's what the hell
Well,
happened?
but then what's interesting is we get, Death Stranding, which we're going to get to in just a second, which has Norman Reedus, Del
Right,
Toro.
well, and Del Toro.
I mean, like it's...
Was it Guillermo del Toro's infamous tweet of just F Konami?
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
So curious minds want to know, man. Like what?
Of course, right? Because Metal Gear Solid 5 won at the Game Awards, and he couldn't accept the award because Konami was blocking him legally.
Right. But then when he came out on stage to unveil Death Stranding, it was like strobe, like
Right.
these spotlights
It was like
on him. It was like
the king has returned.
Yeah. That was
Finally, from down high.
They
Yes,
did announce him like a golden boy, like his path was lit up. It was stellar moment.
Wasn't that during the Game Awards? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Well, he and Jeff Keighley got like what are they BFFs at this point?
Yeah, I think so.
And Jeff Keighley's in Death Stranding.
Well, so is Conan O'Brien.
Well, sure. And so is the creative director of Horizon Zero Dawn.
Really? There's gonna be.
Yeah,
I
so
feel like
this
there's gonna be so many cameos in that game.
I can't wait.
I know you can't.
But to your point, he starts a new Kojima Productions 2.0. Gets apparently what feels like a blank check from Sony
Yeah.
with a production schedule of however long it takes, buddy. And then we got Death Stranding, which is coming out to very polarizing reviews, which I find very refreshing and interesting.
Yeah, we had a little conversation about that over text the other day.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how to feel about it, honestly, because, well, we'll get there. We're jumping ahead a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, but that's Konami, or the Kojima in a nutshell. He was heavily intertwined with Konami for many, many moons. And I mean, I guess I scrubbed over the Metal Gear Rising. Remember that?
Is it the one where you could like slice watermelons?
Watermelons?
And they made a big deal about that.
Yep. And then had to pass it over to Platinum because he just couldn't figure it out how to make an action game.
Right.
But I mean, he was heavily intertwined with Konami the whole time. They really pressured him to make Metal Gear Solid. I felt like every time he wanted to walk away, they're like, "Well, we're gonna make one without you," and he's like, "God damn, I guess I gotta make it, don't I?"
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we see what happens when he's not there. They slap the Metal Gear name on something called Metal Gear Survive, and it's horrible. It's absolute garbage.
It's just, it hurts to think about.
I didn't even touch that game. I
Good.
refused. I heard it was horrible.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
trash.
no, I didn't want to give Konami money for that.
Well, you can still buy a pachinko machine, apparently.
Well, yes, with nicely rendered, redone cutscenes. You're like, just give us a remake, man.
I remember Konami was just like in one point where just like at the top of the industry, man. It was a massive name, and I don't even know what their last game was that they've done. What are they doing? It's all pachinko machines or gambling machines.
They've done a couple Castlevania collections.
Yeah, you're right. They did the Castlevania one recently, actually. I think.
Did they do a Contra one as well?
Yeah, there was a Contra one, and then
yeah.
there was another one that had a bunch of arcade cabinet games.
Didn't they put out like a really terrible Contra game this year?
No, not hardcore. Hardcore was the Genesis one.
I think they
believe.
did, right?
Yeah, you're right, but it did not review very well.
No, it came and went because we can't even remember the name.
Yeah. I remember
Sweet.
they announced it at E3 because I was like, do I even want to post this? But
No. But hey, what are your Amber? What's some of your favorite Hideo Kojima project? Are you a fan of this man?
So, like you said earlier, he's extremely polarizing, and though I have played some Kojima games, they just take so much out of you as far as time goes sometimes that, I've played some and really loved them, and then sometimes I'll pick it up, and if I don't love it within the first, hour and a half, I've got to put it down. Looking at some of the quotes from the Go community, Sean here says, Kojima moments like Psychomanus, mind reading your memory card and moving your controller by telekinesis back in 98. That right there has to be like my moment with Kojima, playing Metal Gear Solid on that PlayStation 1 and having to get up and like move my controller. I couldn't figure it out at first, and of course you've got the little books, you got to figure out what's going on, call a friend, be like, hey, I can't play this because internet doesn't exist at this point, right?
Right.
I can't figure this out. Help me, and I had a friend come over and they're like, oh, you have to do this thing. Look at the back of the game, So that for me was
right.
something that
they had the codec code on the back of the box, didn't they? That you could actually dial in on that. Man, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
That's one of my defining, moments of really enjoying Kojima. And then of course, one of my other moments, when I really played a lot of these games, I was, a young adult, 16, 17, 18, mid-20s. And there's something about every time I need to actually stop the game, there's like an hour cutscene that I'm just like, well, I can't, I'm going to be late for work because, I got to watch this hour cutscene. I can't save, and I'm not going to go back and replay it, and I'm not going to turn it off. So, sorry, guys, I'll be late, and I'll be there in an hour.
I love that you're in a job where you can do that. Like if I couldn't be like, I'm running late, guys. I gotta watch a video game cutscene. That would never fly for me.
It probably did not fly at my job at the time, but granted, being a young adult, you just don't think about those things. You don't think about being as irresponsible as I was.
At young adult jobs, they're lucky you stick around, honestly. They fly through people so fast.
Fair enough. That's awesome. That's a great story. I went with a similar quote from our Facebook group. Kyle Boggs said, I remember Metal Gear Solid very well. PlayStation was and still remains my favorite console made. It was a groundbreaking game on that console. And I got to agree with Kyle so much because I have such fond memories of Metal Gear Solid. This is how good Metal Gear Solid was. I was living with, they weren't my aunt and uncle, but they were real close friends that we called them aunt and uncle. And I had just picked up Metal Gear Solid, and he had a PlayStation 1 at the house. I started playing it. He and his wife were watching me play it at the beginning of it, and they didn't play a lot of games. Kurt, you remember Kurt and Burgett? Kurt used to work at Landstar with. Anyway, I thought you knew him for some reason.
It's a very, very. There's a deep cut here on the podcast, Scott.
But they didn't play games a ton. They had a PlayStation, but he mostly played like racers or an occasional sports game or something like that. But I popped it in Metal Gear Solid, and they were so into watching me play this game because they were riveted by the story. Like genuinely, they were so into it that they made me promise to not play it unless they were there to watch it because they wanted to see what happened next. They watched me play the entire game, all the way up to that finale where you're fighting Liquid Snake. Was it like, weren't you like on the top of a moving Jeep or something and you're having a fisticuff?
Wait, you have a fist fight on top of a Metal Gear.
Yep, I remember that.
Which is awesome. And then there's you're driving away in a Jeep and he's chasing after you.
Yeah. It was just,
and who you're with depends on how the torture scene went.
Exactly. The story was so good, and like the things that Amber mentioned, the mind control, the sniper wolf. Was it Sniper Wolf? Was that the boss's name?
Yeah.
That battle was so intense and interesting and different from anything I had played at that point. And I feel like Kojima hadn't gone full Kojima at this point in terms of the wacky storylines. Like Metal Gear was a little odd. You had characters like Revolver Ocelot, which just rolls off the tongue beautifully. But
he's the best character in this whole franchise.
So good.
He's so good.
But it didn't just go...
I had a big crush on Revolver Ocelot.
Yeah?
And the Metal Gear Solid 3 version, little young Revolver Ocelot.
Oh yeah, I didn't finish that one, but I do remember.
He was a handsome little stud.
Yeah. But I will never forget, and sat down and beat that game in front of an audience, basically. So, yeah, Metal Gear Solid is definitely at the top of my list. And to be fair, I haven't played all of the titles on here. I felt like I was in the minority of people that liked Metal Gear Solid 2, even though the Switch thing threw me off, and I just kept waiting to run into Snake. and like I said, I didn't.
Well, I think the story really justifies why you're riding.
Yeah.
With the idea that they're recreating the they're recreating the Shadow Moses incident, basically to try to create another Solid Snake. Like, that's cool.
It is cool.
And you meet up with Solid Snake, and he calls himself Iroquois Pliskin, and you're like, man, this guy really likes Escape from New York, huh? It's pretty great.
Yep.
That game's really good.
I remember watching the X-Play reviews for this back on when G4 was still a thing. Because isn't there a scene in the game where he loses all his clothes and you can still like do cartwheels around while he's holding his junk?
Yes, he does hold his junk while cartwheeling.
Yeah, and that was
Yes.
I don't know why that stuck in my head, but it was hilarious because they used to do it in slow motion on G4 to make fun of it.
Which cracks me up because when you replay that game, that's like 10 minutes.
Yeah,
But I feel like people always remember it as being hours long.
yeah, it wasn't very long. But...
And then afterwards, you get a freaking ninja sword.
Yeah. Which makes the game...
You can block gunfire and stuff. Like, that's so cool.
Sadly, 3 is one I've never finished. And like you mentioned that it was would you call it his masterpiece? Is that what you referred to it as?
Well, I call it his magnum opus, but I guess I don't know what he would refer to as his magnum opus. I do think it is his masterpiece. I think he was firing on all cylinders. Every other Metal Gear Solid, I think, is tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
But there are things here or there. Like Metal Gear Solid 3 is perfect.
And then 4 comes around, and I played that one up until I got annoyed watching a little girl fry an egg for what felt like 15 minutes at the beginning of that game.
Yes, you watch her make a whole omelet, yeah.
And it's just like, really? This is what's happening? Like, what?
Sonny is great. What a great character.
I don't know, because that's about as far as I got. Was that Guns of the Patriots? Is that what that one was
It
called?
was, yeah, Guns of the Patriots. Mm-hmm.
And then I dabbled in 5 at the beginning. I thought that game introed incredibly. That whole scene where you're driving away from whatever the hell that thing was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was like a little baby Psycho Mantis.
Oh man, that was
shooting a flaming whale in the sky at you.
That was bizarre. And I'm
awesome.
also in the minority of people that loved the character in that game, even though I didn't get as far enough to reach her. But the one that, what is she, a plant or something? She has to
photosynthesize. Quiet?
Quiet, that's what it was.
Yeah, she has to breathe through her skin.
Yeah.
And the laziest, lamest excuse for why you have your character in a bra.
I thought it was so funny. I thought that was great, but
so bad. Well, it's funny because in the previews, everyone's like, "Why is this person just wearing a bra?" And he's like, "You all feel ashamed of yourselves judging Quiet once the game comes out and you learn." And you're like, "Oh, so she's a plant?" No, I don't feel ashamed, man.
Literally a plant.
It's gross.
Which
is a shame because Quiet has. I mean, I've never personally beat Metal Gear Solid 5, but I have read and watched a lot of it, and her story actually comes to quite like a pretty stunning conclusion.
Yeah.
But boy, can I not get over that costume design.
It's
not even a real bra. It's just it's a strap of a cloth that's tied together at the center.
Mm-hmm.
It's ridiculous.
The only other game of his I played, besides I did play the original Metal Gear, is PT. And I tell you, the moment that you finish that playable teaser and freaking Norman Reedus' face shows up,
yes,
that was a for real moment for me because I was like, no way. And the idea of Kojima being behind a Silent Hill project got me so excited because that's a game that I want to be Kojima weird.
Right, yeah. Kojima and Del Toro directing, Norman Reedus starring, and Junji Ito, who is definitely the most famous horror manga artist on art direction. Like that game, that would have been a defining horror video game. Oh
man, that would have been so good. It was so depressing that all that happened like in the midst of that. You know, I still have that on my console, by the way.
Yeah, same here.
Or do I? No, because I upgraded to a Pro, so maybe I don't.
Well, I did a full hard drive transfer. I was not going to leave PT behind.
I feel like I had to have done that because I can't imagine I would have skipped that. But Anyway, those were my favorites. What about you, man?
So wait, so neither of you seem to be like, are you not fully in the Kojima camp?
I'm not super like I'll visit every now and then, but I don't stay there. Like I'll visit. It's cool to hang about for a second, but I don't lay down there. My bed's not there. I don't stay.
Damn. I bought the lifetime membership.
And I'm somewhere in the middle because I do appreciate the innovation, and I appreciate that he tries to think outside the box and do something that's not been done in a game before. But
I appreciate that he is not afraid to push his audience. That's cool. I also think he is one of the very few people, like, who, especially video games, who has been telling the same story for that length of time. From 1988 to 2015. That he was the one guy telling one story. That's crazy.
That is a good point. I've never actually really considered that. It's been him at the helm of that franchise since the beginning.
Yeah. The only other franchise I can think of, and I know it's ridiculous, is Ed Boon on Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Like, those are the only two examples I can think of, like, it's almost, 3 decades of storytelling with one guy.
Yeah, but is Kojima doing all the writing? Like, is this?
I'm sure. Yeah, I am sure he's had assistant writers, but he's still directed. Like he's helming the ship, as you said. Like, that's cool and relatively unprecedented. I think Metal Gear Solid 5 is not a good video game, but that otherwise he's knocked it out of the park.
Okay.
So for me, Metal Gear Solid 3, I think is a beautiful, perfect game with a poignant and heartbreaking ending that you would not have seen, Scott. I think the first Metal Gear.
I watched the videos. I wasn't gonna sit down and play it, but I saw it. And it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, they do some stuff. They use interactivity in a way in Metal Gear Solid 3 that I don't think Kojima has ever properly replicated before or after. Especially in the final boss fight. Metal Gear Solid 1 is one of the few PS1 games that I think still holds up perfectly. Metal Gear Solid 2 is great. I think Metal Gear Solid 4 does not get enough credit for tying together all of the loose threads of those plots. Like, it pulled everything together and ended it in a way to where when Peace Walker was announced, it's like, why? You don't need to.
Right.
But then that game's a friggin' that thing's a masterclass as well. PSP. And 5 is whatever. I'm super mad that PT, brilliant. So yeah, I like Kojima. I like him a lot. I do not think he always nails it when he's trying to say something, but he is always trying to say something, which I appreciate. And he has an unprecedented opportunity to do that.
Right.
And that's wonderful. Good for him. So I am pro Kojima. But I thought it would be fun to read Low Sugar Attack's comment. I know I am in the minority here, but I can't get into his games. The controls are well done. Don't get me wrong. The gameplay is okay, but the story never clicks for me. I feel much of what the story has is unnecessary, and that is his appeal to many players. For me, it takes away from the experience. No denying his legacy in the industry, though, and I believe he should be praised for his work. It's like music. Not everyone likes Shinedown or whatever, but it doesn't mean they're a horrible band.
So you're saying there's no such thing as a bad developer, just developers that aren't for you?
Well said, Scott. Perfect. For me, all that story, like the codec conversation, everything like that, is stuff I wish more games that you have conversations about nothing in that game. And I love that. I feel like that really fleshes out the characters in a way that you get on TV shows, but you don't usually get in video games.
Well, weren't there moments where he's hiding behind a barrel, whatever, and just starts having a conversation with Merle about whatever? So, what'd you have for dinner last night?
Yeah, or Raiden and Rose, they talk about their relationship squabbles over the codec.
Yeah.
Like, that's cool. You just don't get that. And to your point about the comedy weirdness, yeah, this franchise is so wonderful at the roller coaster of outrageous, funny. Like, this guy is over the top. Like, this guy is pooping his pants, and then you get down to the somber these guns. They murder it's giant walking nuclear tanks. Like, that's a serious threat. But then also, Solid is a clone from a guy named Big Boss. It mixes the goofy with the serious expertly.
Well, aren't the names in Death Stranding even more ridiculous? Like, there's a guy named Die Hard Man.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know anything about Death Stranding. I have not played it. But Lalamir Waffle said, "Does PT count?" Scared the pants off of me. And yes, it does count. And that is the scariest might be the scariest game I've ever played.
It was creepy, and especially considering it's just the same hallway over and over and over again.
Yeah, and then just done to such the intricate, minute detail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that I never know what I'm going to get with a Kojima game. You know, 130 minutes is not going to be the same as the next 30 minutes.
Well, speaking of not knowing what we're going to get, I'm really curious to hear what you guys feel about, or you guy and gal, excuse me, or how you're feeling about Death Stranding, because it's all anybody has been talking about all this week, and we're starting to get an idea of what this game is now that reviews are coming out. But Amber, is this one you're going to touch?
Definitely. I'll definitely pick it up, give it a shot. I can't not at this point. I don't understand what he's trying to do story-wise. I don't know the direction, but I'm intrigued. I mean, we have a fetus baby thing you're carrying around and a thing that, like, sees things that you can't see. It's something that I'm going to have to experience, and it does look like it's going to be extremely polarizing depending on if you like it or if you think it's trash, but I've got to see it for myself. I think this game is not about being in a game. It's about being an experience. And if you like it, cool, and if you don't, well, cool too.
Yeah, that's well put. I mean, so many video games of this budget, especially these days, like feel so homogenized. You know, like I constantly rag on skill trees. Every game has a skill tree. Every game is open world. Every game, like there's just so much similarity between games and genres now. That's nice that because you know you can only do this because you're Hideo Kojima, but you get a blank check from a publisher and they say go crazy. Like that's cool, and I'm intrigued. And the idea of Kojima Unhinged is both incredibly appealing and also kind of scary.
Unhinged with a budget.
Right. But I mean, it also feels like he doesn't have an editor. Which is kind of concerning.
To be honest, it didn't feel like he had much of an editor at Konami.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, Metal Gear Solid 4 had a 72-minute final cutscene. Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, this one's got a 2-hour, you said.
Yeah, I hear. Yes, Death Stranding apparently has a 2-hour cutscene. But hey, that 72-minute cutscene was amazing.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
The joke around my neck of the woods is that, you know, people would come to us and be like, talk to me about Death Stranding. And we're like, we really don't know. We don't really think Kojima knows at this point. It's just gonna happen. And what happens, happens.
See, I feel like Kojima is the only one who knows. And he's being an artistic auteur and he's refusing to tell anybody.
The real question is, are we going to understand even after we play the game, or do you just have to be Kojima to really understand?
That'll be interesting. I mean, the idea of a 60-hour walking simulator is an interesting idea.
A 60-hour walking simulator / fetch quest / peeing simulator. I don't...
Hey, man, I don't... Yeah, I know so little about the gameplay. Because they put out that hour of gameplay or whatever, I did not want to watch it.
Yeah, I've been kind of in that boat. I have listened to one podcast that kind of explains what the gameplay is, and I won't tell you if you really want to go into this fresh.
No, I've listened to podcasts as well.
Okay.
I understand it is mostly about delivering.
Yeah, and it's about balancing things and actually traversing the environment while carrying things.
But I mean the multiplayer components sound incredible.
Like they got that Dark Souls bit where you can do like these altruistic things and help out people.
Yeah, you could pave a road, and then another gamer's world might have a paved road that makes their life a little easier.
Right.
Like that's cool.
It's interesting. I'm kind of with Amber in that I have to play it just out of morbid curiosity. I have to see what it is, but
so it feels like you have a moral responsibility to your podcast to play it.
Not even that. It just as a gamer in general, because it's all anybody's talking about, and I just this is exactly what he wants. He wants people like me that may not be massive Kojima fans like you are, but appreciate his work and are just want to know what it is. And I feel like if anybody else had made this game other than Kojima, we would not be talking about it. It would.
But nobody else could have made this game.
Okay.
Right, I see what you're saying, but that's a bit of a misnomer because this game would not exist at all.
Nobody could have made this game at this level. could not
Right.
have made this as a AAA game.
No one else could have got Norman Reedus Assar in a game about delivering stuff.
Right. And I really wish I could go back and see those pitch meetings.
I don't think there was a pitch meeting.
Y-
I think Sony really just is like, here's your money. Call us in 4 years.
Okay.
Like, that's what it feels like. Just make the weirdest trailers you possibly can. And side note, regardless of whether or not I hate this game, I never want to lose sight of the fact that the marketing path was one of the most interesting and weird things ever.
It
really
definitely
has
kept you
been.
hooked.
Yeah, it was cool. Really, like the first trailer where it's just naked Norman Reedus waking up and he looks like he's got a bunch of USB sticks around his neck. And there's ghosts in the background. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah. And then you see
That's
Del
cool.
Toro. Was it the one where they had like the baby stuck in his throat or the fetus and they gave him a thumbs up?
I think that's how maybe the first trailer ended.
The first
The
one.
second trailer was Del Toro, yeah, with the baby in the jar.
Yeah, the
And
first.
you found out Mads.
The first trailer that I remember is him waking up naked on the beach, and they've got like the dead whales, the dead fish,
Yes,
and then
yes.
the floating people who are hanging like they're nailed to crosses or whatever.
It's a cool imagery.
And you're just going, what? What's going on?
And I still don't
Love
know
it.
what the little things attached to their suits are that like snap whenever there's an entity nearby. Like, how is that? Why doesn't a tricorder thing or whatever work? Why do you have to have this remote antenna that I want
It's
to
a
know.
cool ass visual, Scott. That's why.
It's gotta be. I need a better reason than that, man. I need a better.
I'm
reason.
sure there is a narrative reason.
My thing is I don't want to play this game for the 50, 60 hours or whatever it is, and walk away feeling like I don't get it. Number one, I don't want to feel stupid. No, and number two, I just don't like ambiguous endings for a game that I'm going to invest that much time in. So I'm going to let you play it, Zach.
Oh, okay.
And you let me know what you think, and
Well,
then I'll
yeah.
decide.
It's a darn shame Star Wars comes out next week.
It is. It is inopportune timing because
Yeah, Death Stranding might have to take a little back seat there. I ain't gonna be walking over hills when I could be swinging a lightsaber.
right.
Star Wars is going to be so good.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to go.
Let's just talk about Star Wars, guys.
We should.
Oh my god. It's supposed to be the Metroid Prime of Star Wars games? Okay.
Yeah, that's just like two things I love mashed into one game. Please
Yeah.
and thank you.
You don't need to tell me anything else.
Yeah. Well, that was a fun topic. I feel like
Yeah, you're welcome for the biography of Hideo Kojima.
Yes, thank you very much, Zach. I do appreciate that. I learned some stuff there. I genuinely did not know he was behind Zone of the Enders either. So,
Yeah, he's a producer and designer oversight. They're all made by Kojima Productions, but there were a couple teams in there.
very cool.
I like the idea that he kept wanting to walk away from Metal Gear. Like, it sucks, but it's fascinating that he kept wanting to walk away from Metal Gear Solid. And Konami's like, okay, yeah, we'll just go ahead and make the third one without you. And he's like, well, I guess I'll make it then.
Right.
Like, he didn't want anyone else to touch his baby, you know?
Yeah, it was like a threat basically because they owned the property or whatever. So
Right. Yeah.
Well, next week for our topic, I know I promised it last week with this being the first episode of the month, but we will do a community question episode next week, so stay tuned for that. This was just too good of a week to not talk about Kojima, so we pushed that one back for another week, but we'll be back. So stay tuned for a post where we'll ask you for questions that you'd like to talk to us about, whether it be video game related or not. And speaking of our Facebook group, if you are interested in joining, head over to facebook.com/groups/the GoCast. We got an awesome community over there. We try to keep it updated with news and just discussions about all things video game related. We've also got a Discord that you can go find the link for on the show notes here or on our website, thegamingoutsider.com. We've got 4 new members to welcome. We've got Darth Ithaca, CB Breeze MG, somebody by the name of Stormy, and then lastly, 3 white men joined our group.
All 3 of them?
All 3 of them. And then very quickly, we've got some iTunes reviews. Posted over on iTunes, and I'm going to read these very quickly. Actually, Zach, let's do this because I don't want to read all 6 of them at once. I'll do one, you do one, and let's go through it, okay?
Oh, yeah, sure.
So the first one is called Epic Show, comes from Johnny F.N. Benson. And Johnny says, great host. It's the morning radio of all things games. I enjoy listening while playing old school Atari. Thank you so much for that one, Johnny.
Awesome podcast, says the QE guys. Awesome gaming podcast. Definitely recommend if you love all things gaming.
Very cool. Dream Crusher 321 says, what a great podcast. Thank you very much.
Gamers Podcast says, Dave, wake up. As a Fallout junkie, it was great to get their insight on 76 and a subscription and the Outer Worlds. New game info and breakdown of surrounding topics was great. I'm surprised he still wants to listen after all the things I said.
He was a big fan of 76, and then, yeah. Squishy Bishop titled their review, Solid Listen on Gaming. Cool to hear the different perspectives on gaming in general. Really like that they play fan favorites and not just indie games. Keep it up.
Great podcast, says Roman Prokopchuk. Great podcast. If you're into gaming, give it a listen.
Awesome. Thank you so much. There's a lot of reviews this week. Really do appreciate the shout-outs there, guys. It helps us get the word out. We've also got some written reviews available on our website. My review of Jackbox Party Pack 6 is there. Chris Owen's review of Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip. You'll hear him talk about that here in just a few minutes. Thomas's review of Neocab is also available. It's a point-and-click adventure. Takes place in a cab. You really like that a lot. And then lastly, Spencer wrote a review for Stranded Sails, Explorers of the Cursed Island, and he seemed to like that one pretty well too, so check that out on the site. In the meantime, let's go ahead and talk about the games we've actually been playing. Zach, we are in the throes of fall 2019. What can we be picking up this week?
Oh, yeah, if you guys haven't gotten sick of me talking yet this episode, here we go. Dance your little hearts out with Just Dance 2020 coming to PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and check this out, the Nintendo Wii.
Wait, seriously?
On November 5th. Yeah, man.
Just let it
Isn't that
die.
crazy?
That's bizarre.
I wonder how well it's doing.
I would
On
be
the Wii
really
world.
curious to know how well that's doing, actually.
I would love the sales number on the Wii version.
I would tell
And
you
then,
how many I sell over the course of the holiday. I will let you know.
I would love that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please.
And you can join a couple gaming icons with Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, a Switch exclusive on November 5th.
Mm-hmm.
You get your Zoo Tycoon on with Planet Zoo on PC November 5th. If you're looking for an easy way to find yourself napping, Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out on PC November 5th. You like that? Hideo Kojima's next, hopefully a masterpiece, Death Stranding, comes out on PS4 November 8th. Another Switch exclusive Disney Tsum Tsum Festival November 8th.
What is Tsum
Can't
Tsum?
believe... You don't know what Tsum Tsums are?
No.
They're like little collectible stuffed animals.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Surely,
Gosh.
Amber, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes, they look like little pill-shaped versions of like Winnie the Pooh and Mickey and Minnie and stuff like that.
I have a Miles Morales one.
Of course you do.
Yes. They look like little hamsters.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And a Jumanji the video game, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC November 8th. This game actually looks kind of fun, if I dare say so.
I don't know, man. I think it looks awful.
You think so?
It's like a PS2 game to me.
That's fine.
Yeah, you like PS2.
We need more. We need more of those. We need more mid-range games. And then Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel and the Millionaire's Conspiracy Deluxe Edition.
That is a long title.
Nintendo Switch November 8th. Wow. This is a port of phone games. Just so you know.
It's a port of a phone game and it has a title that long.
Yes.
All right.
The Layton phone games are actually pretty solid. Some of my first written reviews were on the Layton games on phone.
Okay.
But the Switch becoming just the destination for phone ports. Then Need for Speed Heat coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC November 8th. I had no idea this game even existed.
Really?
Yeah, then I watched the trailer. I was like, oh yeah, but I completely forgot this announcement happened at all. I was looking up the new releases. I was like, oh yeah, what new Need for Speed? Is Aaron Paul in this?
No, but the official soundtrack is available now. You can actually, they have it on Spotify. You can actually go listen to the Need for Speed soundtrack. So,
well, now I'm all in, Scott.
Yeah.
You know how I love music.
There's actually a nifty little app you can download for the Need for Speed game as well, to where you can completely customize your cars and actually, I believe, just zip it to your game. It's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
It sounds like you may have given that sales pitch before.
Could be.
Further solidifying the interesting relationship between Microsoft and Nintendo. New Super Lucky's Tale comes to the Nintendo Switch November 8th.
Yeah.
And then Square Enix classic Romancing Saga 3 comes to PS4 Vita.
Vita.
That's almost as crazy as here in the Wii.
Is it digital only?
On Vita, I would have to imagine it is, yes. I would have, yes. Xbox One, Switch, and PC November 11th.
Zach, did you play Super Lucky's Tale?
No.
That's like you, man. That's like a N64 platformer right there, man.
It always looked so much like my thing.
Yeah.
I think it's on Game Pass. What am I doing? I should go play that.
You should play that.
I should stop playing this Warframe thing. And
You're still playing Warframe.
It's so good, Scott. Get out of here. I can't help that it's good.
And you guys plan on picking any of these up this week? Amber?
I will. I'm definitely gonna, dip my hands into Death Stranding. And I think that'll be it for me. I have yet to play Outer Worlds. I didn't touch that one yet. And then, of course, we've got Pokemon coming out really soon, which I'm gonna invest a little time into, and Star Wars. And I've got World of Warcraft events going on, so it's gonna be a light week.
So this is just a filler week, pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up Death Stranding.
Yeah, I'm not.
And then I'm gonna I want to just turn my phone off for the weekend. Really, if I had things my way.
Turn your phone off.
Just turn my phone off, play Death Stranding for the entire weekend. That's what I'm saying. That would be ideal. I'm not actually doing that, Scott. That's not the world we live in.
I was gonna say I don't think I have the willpower.
No, I'm just saying that would be nice to just sit down with a new game all weekend.
You know what? I'm gonna try that.
You know what? Let's try it with Star Wars.
We should do that as a challenge, man. We should see if we can just go an entire Saturday with our phone off for the entire day.
That'd be tough. Let's see. Yeah, we can't do it for Star Wars because we're just gonna want to keep texting each other.
No, we'll be online talking to each other while we play without spoiling anything, and just like all Saturday.
Wow, that's very 360 of us.
I know, man. Back to like.
Remember when we would be in parties just playing totally different games.
Yeah, just chatting. Whatever.
Yeah,
and then like it was always like story. If you said the word story, that meant you had to shut up for a minute because I had to watch this cutscene and don't interrupt.
Oh man, what a throwback!
Yeah,
good times.
That was good.
Anyway, I'm very excited for Death Stranding. I will get through as much as I can before Star Wars.
Sounds good.
Priorities are what they are, man. But hey, you've been playing. You've been getting drunk all weekend, haven't you?
Not actually drunk, but my character's
with
sure.
Satan himself.
Oh, man, this game. Yeah, I played Afterparty on Xbox One, which is available on Game Pass, which you were just talking about a second ago.
Is it?
Yeah.
I gotta pay more attention to Game Pass.
You really do, man. This is a
subscription that I paid nothing for. Is really paying for itself.
So if you remember, Oxenfree.
Yes,
that was
from former Telltale developers.
Yes, it's a Night School Studio. They put this game together. It's very much a point-and-click adventure-ish type game, although there's not a lot of pointing and clicking. It's more or less like it's a very narrative-driven game. There's not any action.
Is it similar to Oxenfree, where most of your interaction is just picking which dialogue you're going to say?
Yes, it's pretty much that. And most of the dialogue options are binary. It's one or the other. And when I say binary, I don't mean like it's pick the good one or the bad one. You just have two options. Sometimes they're very similar and it doesn't really matter. Sometimes it does matter. So it's really good. But yes, you play as these two characters, are college students, and they die, and they wake up in hell, and they're being processed through hell. And to be upfront and honest, this is a comedy game. This is a humorous game. It's all, I'm not going to say tongue in cheek.
I'm laughing already.
So these two characters decide that they want to, they don't deserve to be here and they want to get out. So their only way to escape hell is to challenge Satan himself to a drinking contest. Because, they're college kids. And
I remember that was near the end of the Bible, right?
Yes, it was in Revelation chapter 46.
Yes.
To escape damnation, you challenge Lucifer to a drinking contest. And that is literally what this game is. But it's you obviously don't start with this drinking contest. There's a lot of working up to that and different tasks that you have to complete and do things. But what makes this game so interesting is that hell is a living and breathing metropolis. And it is like a working, living city. There are bartenders, there are shops, there's just things going on, and there are humans and demons that both inhabit this place, and they have shifts. The demons work as bartenders, or they work as processing agents, or they work as cab drivers, and this is what they do. And the demons have a very distinctive look, and the souls of the damned have their own very distinctive look. They just look like humans. And everyone's just very casual about the fact that they are spending the rest of eternity in hell. And it is quite hilarious. But I had a lot of fun with this game. There are some minor mini games where you're doing some drinking games, like playing beer pong or stacking shot glasses to try to get to a certain height, different things like that. But genuinely funny, man. Some of the dialogue in this game had me laughing out loud just because it caught me off guard and I wasn't expecting it. And I don't mean like in a sitcom kind of way. I mean in a it's just humor that doesn't, it's not random, but it's just this world that they've created, this personification of hell that is just super funny. Zach, I think this is your kind of humor. I really do. It's dark.
Okay.
It's dark.
Great.
One of my
Yes, sign
one
me
of my
up.
favorite lines from a game is you meet this bartender, and because if you can't tell, this game revolves a lot around drinking, quite a bit.
Sure.
There's an achievement for drinking X amount of alcohol, and they don't tell you what that amount is. It just says drink a lot, and you only know how close you're getting by the percentage that goes up, and it's pretty funny. But anyway, you meet this bartender, and the guy that's introducing you to him is a former mass murderer. Like he's decapitated a bunch of victims, and he's the happiest, friendliest dude ever, which is funny in itself. But he's introducing you to this bartender, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry about Phil. He's been slinging alcohol since Jesus was overpricing for kitchen cabinets." And that line just caught me off guard for some reason. That just made me laugh out loud. It's that kind of humor. It's little one-liner zingers that are not just off the wall. They make sense for this world, and it's so funny, man. You gotta play Afterparty, even just for the intro, because the way they even introduce this game is pretty great.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. No, I think you may have sold me on this.
Yeah, and it's what's nice is it's a short experience. It's only like 5-6 hours.
Well, anytime you want to make fun of Jesus, I'm on board.
But I think that might be the only time he was referenced. But
And I'm on board. See, just takes one.
But it was really funny, and the voice acting in this game, holy crap, man! This might be the best voice acted game this year, no joke. I mean, obviously, we're fans of Sissy Jones. She's in this game.
Sure.
Dave Fennoy plays Satan.
Okay,
which is
that's inspired casting.
Seriously, like Lee from The Walking Dead is the devil, and it's so good. Ashley Birch is in it. She plays the cab driver. There's just so many recognizable voices. I cannot remember her name, but she was in the last Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the story one.
Oh, Janika something.
Geneva. Anyway, she was in the TV show The League. She played the Shiva character. If you don't like sports, you have no idea what I'm talking about. But
I hear The League is funny without sports, but no, I have not. It's got John LaJoie, so I've always wanted to watch it.
He's funny. He plays a character named Taco, if that gives you anything. Anyway, so this game,
like how you had to catch yourself.
Yeah,
up.
We're not talking about that. Seriously, some of the best acting of the year. I cannot think of a game that had better voice acting. This is the Hellblade.
I think it's hard to top Days Gone for me.
Well, to be fair, I didn't play Days Gone, so
just the conversations are so natural flowing in that game.
Yeah, man, you're kind of making me want to go back and play that game now a little bit, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, I love that game, but outside of my love of Sam Witwer,
Yeah, that doesn't help.
It's just tremendous voice acting.
Also, the storytelling in this game, the way the game wraps up, genuinely did not see where it was going, and I thought it was ingenious the way this story wrapped up. The way it wrapped up for me, because actually I was playing this game sitting next to CB when we were at the marathon, and he had a completely different ending than I did. Like, shockingly different ending that actually opens it up for a potential sequel. So, yeah.
How long is this bad boy?
About 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's survivable.
It's really good.
Games are too long. Is there a skill tree?
No, there's no anything. The only thing that you can really collect is the different drinks, because you go to each of the different bars, has like 5 or 6 different signature drinks, and they're all grotesque. There's one that is what was it? It's got a bunch of different weird alcohols in it, but then it has rose petals on the top of it, and it's called a bloody stool. Like, that's one of the drinks. There's one that's called acid, and the description says that's it. It's just acid. You're literally drinking acid. It's the name of the drink, and that kind of stuff is really funny. So
that's a fun game. Oxenfree didn't really do it for me, but this sounds more appealing.
I mean, it's very much an adventure game in that you just want to do the thing that the game wants you to do, but there's all these roadblocks in the way, and so you kind of feel like, oh, I got to go do this, but I can't do this until I do this, and I can't do that until I do that. So you have to kind of go through and do all these little fetch questy things, but the dialogue and the characters that you meet are just so I'm not going to say charming, but they're interesting. You know what I mean? And just the ridiculous things that you wind up doing are genuinely funny.
I'm going to ask you a very specific and potentially nitpicky question. Okay. Is the camera pulled back super far all the time like it was on Oxenfree?
No, not that far. It pretty much stays consistent throughout most of it.
I don't know why that bugged the hell out of me on Oxenfree.
Yeah, because you want to see the characters. You want to see their expressions.
Yes,
and stuff, right?
I don't want to just see like little dots on the screen. Yeah,
right. You're much closer up in this one than Oxenfree. So
I realize this is a weird question.
No, that's a valid question. It bothered me with Oxenfree too, and I played through that one multiple times. So
okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the only game that again, that's Afterparty. I played it on Xbox One. It is also available on PC. And Amber, maybe you can confirm. Are you on Xbox Game Pass?
I am on Xbox Game Pass, but I haven't noticed that game.
On PC?
Well, it's on Epic. I know it's on the Epic Store, but I don't know if it's available for Game Pass on PC.
Right. It might have been one of the exclusive ones, but yeah, it's worth checking out. It's pretty funny. I mean, if you're on Game Pass, it's a no-brainer. Just try it out. If you're not hooked in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the game when you realize what's going on with the opening scene, you're not going to like the rest of the game. But if you're intrigued with that opening, it's worth it, especially if you're on Game Pass. So before we head out, I have a couple of pre-recorded interviews for you as well. I sat down with Chris Owens to hear him tell us about Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip, and also talked to Thomas over in Ireland to talk to us about a couple PC games. The first one is called Encased, and the second is called Ghoul, Britannia, Land of Hope, and Gorey. So I hope you enjoy those. We'll play this for you right now. Mr. Chris Owens, how you doing, brother?
Mr. Scott Clark, I'm all right. How are you, brother?
I'm doing all right. Congrats on your Mario Kart win at the EXPcast Extra Life event this past weekend. That was awesome.
Victory! Victory!
Yeah, I was especially glad that you won because you knocked me out in the first round. So at least I lost to the guy that won the whole thing, because Mario Kart Double Dash is not my jam. That is for sure. But
to be fair, there was a brutal match between the two of us.
Well, yeah, we got 150cc and the Star Cup, and I haven't played Double Dash in forever. We didn't know how the beginning thing worked. It was different from anyway. That's a whole.
We know how I got half through it.
How's that?
Because I've been playing the phone. I still play the phone Mario Kart still.
Oh yeah, so you've been practicing
and
that
half
way.
half those courses. I mean, the mechanics are completely different as far as how you can't fall off the track on the phone. One, you can't. There's a lot of things you do on the game that you do not on the phone. But at least I knew the track layout, so I was able to draw from that kind of memory.
Well, last year at the event, I took second place. I was down to the finals, but we were playing Mario Kart 64, which is definitely my jam. And I know that game backwards and forwards, and held my own until the final lap, and it was down to the third. It was very, very close. But
it was an epic battle.
Yeah.
This is a field of 16, so that's huge. That was pretty
Yeah, it
cool.
was really good. You got the little traveling trophy. Take it home with you. Got to bring it back next year. Give it to the next winner. So very
Yeah,
well done, man.
I will defend my title proudly. Thank you.
There you go. Well, you're not actually here to talk about Mario Kart. You're here to talk
Nope,
about a game that you reviewed for us called Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip,
I
which is
am.
colons and dashes in the title, which is confusing. But this one comes from High Voltage Studios. It's published by Game Mill Entertainment, and we got to give a shout out to Sandbox Strategies for hooking you up with a review copy to play this one. This
Gracias,
looks,
senors.
yeah, for sure. It looks like a top-down twin stick shooter, but set in Zombieland. If you're familiar with the movies, and am I correct in understanding that this one takes place right at, like in between the events of the first movie and the second movie?
Yeah, it's 1.5. I guess you want to put it in the genre of the Zombieland universe. It's the 1.5 where they trek back to the other side of the country. I'm not going to say where or what, but they go from Pacific Playland in California to the East Coast. The
Okay.
ending destination, I won't give away the ending for that, but that's basically the premise. Yes.
Okay. So tell me about the game. How's it play?
It plays pretty well, actually. Like you mentioned, it's a top-down twin stick shooter, so you can move with the left stick while the right stick is aiming and shooting in 360 degrees directions. You face dozens of types of zombies, everything from standard zombies to ninja zombies that are really fast. Eh, Not to plug my written review on the gamingoutsider.com, but I just did, talking about the very body conscious 16-year-old zombies who will go anybody means to make that stay the status quo.
Wait a minute. They
If
puke
anybody,
on you?
they do projectile if that's a word. There's definitely some heave in that hoe,
Uh,
and
nice.
and if anybody remembers Big Hoss from the first time in that movie that Woody Harrelson dispatched rather quickly with head
A
shears.
banjo? Oh, head shears. Yeah, yeah. I
That's
do
right,
remember
with the
that.
head shears. They
Hmm.
are, yes, that's there are plenty of those and many, many, many others.
Okay. How long is this game?
About 2.5 hours, depending on how you traverse. If you don't die too much, which towards the end, by the way, you will. Believe me, I did. I mean, I don't know to say much for my gaming skill, but I'd say 2.5 hours on the campaign trail. But
Okay.
it's worth it to get through it once because it does have the new game plus option. So if you go through it again, you have your built up skills that you can move on and trek through again.
Now, do you have to have seen the movies for this to really pay off, or can you play it without having seen either of them?
It's interesting because you kind of lay into one of the things that I had a downplay about, and that's the dialogue boxes. There are a lot of them, and they go on and on and on. If you die, there's no checkpoints. You go back to the beginning of the level, so you have to go through them again, on and on and on.
You're talking about
The
like what
first
they do, like the title where they give you like the rules of Zombieland, like cardio and all that. Is that what you mean?
No, but that part's actually in there throughout a couple of the levels where it kind of reminds you. It does kind of play into how you play the game when the rules come out, but these dialogue, it's literally the dialogue between the characters.
Oh,
And it
okay.
tries to be a story and it's not. If you know the banter from the movies, you will get a little more kick out of it. You'll kind of get the how it's so blue and raunchy, but it works. I mean,
Hmm.
I love Woody Harrelson and the way he delivers his dialogue in those movies, I think is fantastic. But if you're not a fan of the movie or really know the premise of the movie, you won't get it. You may find it more annoying in that fact.
Is it the actual
But
voice actors from the movie?
no, it is not.
Oh, okay. Now you said there's no
Very
story.
close replications.
You said there's no story. What do you mean? Is there a problem with is this not a game to play for the story, what you're saying, or is there just
No,
not
not
one
at all.
existing?
You're going from point A, B, C. I believe they're off the top of my head 8 to 10 levels. I forget the actual number of levels, but it's basically connecting the dots to get across the country for no rhyme or reason, but to get
Okay.
across the country.
So is there upgraded weapons? Is there strategies? I mean, when I hear twin stick shooter, I just think hordes of zombies, and that is that all you're doing in this game, or are there in puzzles? What else is going on?
There are hordes of zombies, and that's I'd say 85% of the game. There are no puzzles whatsoever. You're just shooting and running for your life. And there are times where you will have to just run for your life. Don't One of the rules of Zombieland, don't be a hero. If you have to run, run. You're taking out armored cars that house zombies, you're taking out porta potties that house zombies, you're taking out ambulances that have zombies to contend with. There
Hmm.
are a couple of levels where you kind of have to make your way through a maze, if you will. How you get to the end of that maze is up to you.
Yeah.
There are protection levels, which are in my opinion, these games the most annoying because you have to stay with the character while
Right.
they get eaten. You have to fight the zombies off of them and hope you can get to the end with that character.
Any collectibles or any fun stuff like that?
No, hell, you get Twinkies for health though, which these days
Of
seems
course.
to be the opposite. But I mean, in Zombieland, it's the only acceptable form of first aid is Twinkies.
No snowballs?
No, no snowballs, unfortunately. The weapon system is pretty interesting. The melee weapons are similar in how basically how they attack. 'Cause you have katanas, you have baseball bats, you do have a banjo. I know
Of
you mentioned
course.
the banjo earlier, so get the banjo to go. So
Yeah.
each weapon has its own strength and what do you want to say? Not durability, just not to get fancy durability. So as how many swings you have with it. And the melee weapons are almost unfairly strong because most zombies you can take out with one hit with those
Nice.
melee weapons. The combat weapons are very broadly diverse between strength and speed and reload ability. And there are the rifles, the sniper rifles. You can actually go through several zombies at once. The minigun, which takes forever to start whirring, but when it does, it is an absolute shooting frenzy when you do.
Nice.
Each weapon each weapon has its own size cartridge. How the clips are different too as to how many bullets those guns hold, but and you'll know as you go along, and because there's several checks that you trunk through, excuse me, several trunks that you check through. For that being is that these levels are designed so that if you have multiplayer, that multiple players can find these weapons. But riding alone, you'll get your kind of choice of door A, B, or C, and if you know what's ahead of you or the type of level that you're playing, that's the type of weapon you'll choose.
You mentioned there was a new game plus, so after you beat it, you start it again. Is that worth doing? Does it make it just more difficult? Do you get to keep your upgrades or weapons? How does that work?
All it is keeping the upgrades, and you're upgrading your health, how fast you load a weapon, how fast you charge your special ability.
Hmm.
But that's all you keep to go through. So playing a second time, not really worth it in my opinion.
Okay, but do you recommend this one for at least a playthrough?
Yes, it has good zombie action. If you can stand the horde of not zombies but dialogue boxes, you
Hmm.
will be able to get a good top down action twin sticker. Excuse me, but it's $40, way overpriced for this kind
All
of
right.
title. You go down to 20, okay, then you got something to talk about. I'm sure the licensing rights kind of made that price tag jump up a little bit there.
Right.
Um, but it is good action, but a very short good action. Actually, I think you saw me play horde mode when we were at a marathon this past weekend, and it wasn't much of a horde mode. Like the first five levels were extremely easy, and the sixth one was just exponentially harder immediately. So the balance was definitely way off. I mean,
Gotcha.
once through, you're happy, but then you won't play it again.
All right. Well, again, that is Zombieland Double Tap Road Trip. And shout out again to Sandbox Strategies for hooking us up with that. And as Chris alluded to earlier, you can read his written review, which is available at thegamingoutsider.com. Chris, thanks so much for stopping by to shed a light on this game for us.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll catch you later. Mr. Bex, how you doing, sir?
I'm good. It's getting cold here over here, so
Yeah, it's getting cold here for sure as well too, man. But trying to do the best I can to keep warm. It sucks having to do recordings and turn off the heat during episodes. It gets a little chilly in here, but I'm excited to talk to you because you've actually played not one but two games for review for us. They're both the early access. The first one is called Encased. This one comes from Dark Crystal Games, and it was published by Black Tower. They were also kind enough to give us a copy of the early access for you. Now, looking at the trailer, I got some Fallout vibes on this one. Is that a fair
that
assessment?
is a 100% fair assessment. This is definitely a love child of Fallout 1 and 2.
Okay, that's a huge distinction because again, I haven't played Fallout 1 and 2. I've only played 3 and 4 in New Vegas, but Fallout 1 and 2 are more of a isometric view,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right?
So it's a bird's eye view, but it's definitely a, retro-futuristic, post-apocalyptic role-playing game.
Okay.
Heavily story-driven. This is, as you said, this is early access, so I basically got to play the entire prologue, which was quite long. And after that, there is not that much content yet. So I think I still played it for like 18 hours during the prologue. It's not,
Holy
yeah, it's not
cow.
an easy game. I had to regularly uh, load.
Yeah, I think you texted me a picture
my
and said something like you die within 4 seconds or something.
yeah, my first journey under the dome lasted a whopping 20 seconds, and then I fell off off a stairs and I fell to my death, and I had to start over again, which luckily was only 20 seconds I had to catch up with. But
There you go.
yeah, this is like Fallout. This is a brutal game. It's not that it's very hard or anything, but you do need to save a lot because when you die, you die. And I put myself at a disadvantage because I like to play characters who are heavily on intelligence and charisma. So they
Me
like
too.
to solve things with their mind or by talking. And that also means that you don't have that much strength, that much muscle. So I couldn't carry that much heavy weapons or use heavy weapons for that matter. So that since this is quite a brutal world, that had me at a bit of a disadvantage, but it had me
Okay.
at an advantage at other occasions. What's the case here? This takes place in the 1970s, and a massive dome has been discovered, and you can go into the dome, but you can't get out. But they are finding all kinds of artifacts under the dome um, that a company is researching, and you go into the dome as one of six divisions of this company. They're all
Does that act as a class system then
sort
for
of,
the game?
yes. They're all color coded. So I was in the white division, and they were the scientists. Black division are the guards, and the police officers. Silver is, if I'm not mistaken, the more the management class. The orange people are not there by choice. They are there. They are criminals who are forced to do labor there. So you have all kinds of um, different things going on there, and you create your character. There's an extensive character creation process, which probably uh, explains why I took so long because I always take a lot of time in character creation. I find that very important, and the, with that you can yeah arrange your points, your skills, your specialties, that kind of stuff, and that also influences the story because you have specific quests that you do for your division, um, or you have also specific quests that can have a different that can go differently if you're from a different division because you can have access or not have access or have to get different access to certain areas
Right.
of the massive complex that you start in. Uh,
So is the end goal here just to escape, or is there like a mystery that you're trying to uncover about this dome and why it's appeared?
yeah, uh, that is why you're there. You're there as a scientist, sort of an archaeologist, and you're scanning stuff and you're trying to find out what is going on, what the forefathers meant with all this. And you get a very small tip of the iceberg during the prologue. I can't tell you too much how the prologue ends because that would be spoilery, so I'm not going to do that. Because there are
Okay.
some pretty heavy things going on. Um, and yeah, you need to do all the missions in the base, or need to do. You can do as many as you want, but I would advise to do all the missions in the base to get your character up in XP before going further on the main mission that where you leave the complex and go further into the dome. Uh,
So how about the gameplay though? As someone who's not played a Fallout game, at least the first two Fallout games, is this a clicking around like in a Diablo kind of game and then turn-based battle systems? How does that work?
yeah, the battle system is turn-based, but only starts once there is reason to start battle. You can initiate battle. It's basically you can click on everything and you can carry stuff and you can take stuff with you. Not everything is valuable, but or seems valuable. It could be that it gets more value once you progress in the game because you can also build your own ammunition, you can build your own weapons, you can start tinkering with stuff. I didn't do that much. I did create some ammunition, but I didn't do much of the tinkering. Um, because it wasn't needed yet, but it did have all that potential in there. You do a lot of talking with people. You can click on someone and then you can choose an action to do with that person. So most of the time, that will probably be talking to him, but you can also use pickpocketing or stuff like that, or you can shoot him, and then
Sounds so much like Fallout, man.
it's very much based on the mechanics of Fallout. It's named a bit differently, um, but it looks I don't feel that is a downside. I feel that is a very positive thing because I loved the first two Fallouts, especially. Well, I love both of them. They're both great. So this gave me real Fallout vibes. And from what I've heard, from what I've understood from the developers, is that once you've passed the prologue, you enter this open world where you can also interact with other players. So that's totally unlike Fallout. At least, well, obviously Fallout 76 is meant to be that way, but that is a first-person shooter, um,
Right.
um, and this is clearly an isometric RPG. So I've not yet.
Well, it sounds like if the prologue is 18 hours and you played you put 18 hours into the prologue, it sounds like this is one that you're going to recommend to people to play.
Well, you can probably do the prologue a lot quicker, but
Okay.
I just took my time, and there was this one quest that I probably should have done sooner because that quest, for that quest, you need to wait a certain amount of game time before you can continue on the quest, and it was one of the last quests I needed to do. So I also had to do a bit of waiting there, and I used that to walk around and talk to people, and so that was a bit of my own fault. And as I said, there were a few times that I needed to load and start over because my character simply uh, died during a fight and then had to do the fight
Mhm.
again. Because I had a physically weaker character, I probably, if I had created a stronger character that is more combat adept, then then I would not have died as many times there. But that's the thing you do with these kind of games. You create a character and you try to finish
Mhm.
the game with the skills of that character. And I managed to uh, get through the entire prologue with my character with the emphasis on intelligence and charisma. I might try it again and then take someone from maybe the black division and see if how much better I do when I go for a more combat oriented character. So yeah, I really
That's good.
enjoyed it. I did not. Um, yeah, there were a few tough puzzles there, uh, and I consulted the community on one to see how I needed to proceed. But I really loved the world building. I really loved there's lots of moments where you need to make choices. Um, uh, Not just in whether you take on a quest or not, but also from hey, that gets a bit of a choose your own adventure vibe in between. So yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope that the developers can deliver on what they are promising with this game and what the initial impression promises to be. I would definitely once they are start adding more content, return to this game and play more. And uh, once it is officially released, I can do a full
Right.
review for it.
Sounds good. And then again, it's called Encased, and it comes from Dark Crystal Games. And thanks again to Black Tower for providing with a code on that one. The other game that you've been playing for us looks to be a little bit lighter, and that's called Ghoul, Britannia, Land of Hope and Gorey. This one comes from Binary Space Games, and Stride PR provided you with a copy of this one to try out. I really couldn't make heads or tails of what this one was. What's the story going on here? It's a point and click adventure, right?
Yeah, this is a pure point and click adventure, and even though it may look lighter, it definitely is not lighter. It was actually quite a lot darker than I expected it to be,
Oh, wow, interesting.
because it's basically looking at a Britain after Brexit, but
Oh,
in the without getting too political here, basically the UK has fallen on hard times, and because uh, a lot of the people had to leave the UK because they were not British citizens, they had to find a way to and a lot of the this is what the game the intro of the game says. So they had to find a different way to do the menial jobs that the Britons won't do. So someone came up with reanimating the dead to do that.
Hmm.
Obviously, that that is not going to end well. So when Prime Minister Nigel Farage, which is obviously a clear um, uh, jab at Nigel Farage, who is the main Brexit person, um, tries to activate the program and it goes horribly wrong, and Britain basically gets overrun by zombies. And
Okay, so who's your
yeah,
character?
your character, I played the basically I played the first two chapters. Again, early access, so I couldn't play the full game yet. Um, and I started out as a girl whose name escapes me at the moment. Sorry for that. But she is trying to survive, and they something goes horribly wrong, and they have to escape the city they are in. And then she has to, by getting trying to get people to leave the city and trying to find items that can help for the helicopter to land and then to escape. And then the second chapter, I played uh, someone else. Let me put it that way without getting spoilery here.
Oh,
You play someone else who eventually, whose storyline eventually coincides with the first character. And that's where the game, that's basically the first two chapters, and that's where the game, the early access ended. Um,
okay.
and
Now, at this point, when you say point and click adventure, is it like old school point and click where you're taking items and combining them together,
yeah,
or is it adventure in that it's just dialogue driven?
it is very much dialogue. There are jokes. It's darkly funny, and that's mostly in the dialogue. But it's not like you're laughing. I expected a way more um, funnier game in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I was a bit surprised by how dark it was, because it's actually taking a serious look at what would happen if the UK would have done that. But there is
Right.
humor in the way the characters speak, and some things that happen. They look a bit comicky, and that suits the whole vibe fine. But yeah, it is still about zombies eating people. So
Nice.
um, yeah, so
So,
it is definitely uh, dark. Yeah.
all right. So, do you recommend Ghoul, Britannia, Land of Hope and Gorey to our listeners to try
I
out?
would definitely recommend it once the full game has dropped, because now you're only playing
Okay.
two chapters. I think the full game. Also, there were a few bugs in there that the developer knows about. I had a short conversation with the developer because I ran into a bug, and uh, they are aware of that and they're going to fix that. And I have full confidence that they are going to fix that. So I would recommend waiting for the full game to come out and then definitely play it, because if you're a fan of the adventure genre, then this is a game you'll enjoy.
Very cool. And thanks again so much to Stride PR for letting you try out that early access code. Really do appreciate that. And Thomas, thanks so much for stopping by and talking to us about these games, man. I really appreciate it. All right, before we wrap up, this is a section where we talk about the games that we are catching up on. And Zach, after I finished Afterparty, I sat down and I started over because it had been so long since I played it and it was only like an hour in. I sat down and started Control again. And this game has its hooks in me, man.
Yeah, it does.
I still don't have a clue what is going on in this game. I'm so confused, but I've got a couple objects of power now. I've started to
Okay.
get some abilities. I found the ashtray maze, but I'm assuming I
Yes.
can't traverse it yet because it just kept putting me in a circle.
Well, you are playing in Metroidvania.
Right. So I was real excited because everyone keeps talking about the ashtray maze, and I found it. I was like, oh, I didn't think this was going to happen this quick. And then I just kept running in circles and like, oh, there must be something else I got to do here.
Yeah, I hope people didn't psych it up too much for you.
I hope not. But
Yeah.
I did just discover and I'm trying to be vague so I'm not spoiling anything. I discovered not a recording studio, but a sound booth. Does that mean anything
Okay,
to
yeah.
you?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And I found what I assume is an object of power that looks like a jukebox, but I cannot access it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you like it though? How many hours would you estimate you are into it?
4 or 5 maybe, if
Okay.
that. That's probably even overshooting. I just got to the cafeteria for the first time.
Okay. Well, you say you're lost, and what I found was so refreshing about that game is that they give you a bunch of questions, but they actually start answering them pretty quickly.
Okay.
And I feel like you're right on the cusp of when they start answering stuff.
Well, I learned
Because-
who the companion. I learned.
Okay.
I don't have a name. I learned a gender. If I'm being vague
No,
enough.
I get you. Yeah, you don't want to speak too much, but that's what I thought was kind of cool about the game. I figured it'd be like Lost, where the questions maybe come near the end,
Right.
Which I know you didn't like Lost, even though it's one of the greatest shows ever made. But
It was the greatest
first
season of a show ever made.
every time you talk about Polar Bear Scott, you make me mad. They answered about 6 times. But no, what I really like about Control is they don't leave you lingering.
Okay.
I feel like by the end of the game, I didn't have any questions left.
Okay, that's good. That's good to hear.
The only question I had left was when was Control 2 coming out?
or the DLC.
And based on the sales, probably never. But
I'm
so
having a
great
ton
game.
of fun with it. It just
It's so
feels
good.
good. Even the gunplay.
Once the levitation comes into play, it almost transforms the game entirely.
Oh, really?
Like it makes such a difference.
I can't wait to hear that song. I know you're not into metal, but I've been listening to that song.
Oh yeah.
Take control, and it's supposed to be like an
No, I mean,
awesome.
I like that segment.
Yeah. So
Not least of which because the song was sung by the old gods of Asgard.
yes, which that was the song that was playing in the not that song, but there was another song. It was like something of the poet.
Poets of the
Poets
Fall.
of the Fall or something like that.
It's
Um,
that is the band who performs as the old gods of Asgard.
Gotcha. I also really like that. I know this is a Remedy thing. I love that they put real video into the game as like videos
Mhm.
that you see. Like when you see the R&D guy that just constantly does these videos about objects of power.
Oh, Dr. Darling,
Dr. Darling.
played by Alan Wake.
That's the guy who was Alan Wake?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah. And the director who you can like watch the little videos, the hotline videos for.
Uh-huh.
That's Max Payne.
The hotline videos. I hit the
Where-
hotline. I hit a hotline area once, but I don't know if I remember.
The director
Trench?
of the FBC. Yeah, Trench.
Oh, okay.
That's Max Payne.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I would love to just have him read the phone book.
Yeah.
And then the woman
Marshall?
who played the character you're playing as, Jesse,
Mhm.
she was Beth in Quantum Break.
Huh.
They brought everything full circle.
That's really cool. But yeah,
The only person they're missing is Sean Ashmore.
there you go. And what's his name from Game of Thrones?
Oh yes, Aidan Gillen. Wow, I forgot he was in Quantum Break.
He was the
How do you
villain.
forget him?
No, I know. I just right now in this moment I forgot.
So this is the game that I'm going to be working on now because I just
It's good.
I'm so curious and I'm enjoying like firefights aren't a drag. They're really
Yeah.
fun. Hurling stuff at them. I love like balancing out my ammo conservation with my whatever you call your ability to throw stuff. Like I just
Just call it telekinesis.
I'll throw that and I'll run out.
Launch, I think.
Launch
the
is
game
what's
calls
called. So I'll use up my launch until it's gone and then start firing. And by the time my
Yeah.
clip is empty, then I can launch again. You're just constantly moving. It feels awesome. I love.
Yeah, like that. Every gun feels very different, which I appreciate.
I've only got 3. I've got the regular one, which I still feel like is just my go-to. Then the scatter, which
Grip,
feels like
yeah.
a shotgun.
Uh-huh.
But again, they're
Spin was my go-to.
I have it. I don't think I've tried it yet. What is spin?
It's like a little. It's basically an Uzi.
Oh, okay. But I feel like, but they're all the same gun, right? It's just like different.
Right.
forms.
Yeah. Well, the gun is telekinetically shooting shards out and reshaping itself,
Which is an awesome.
which
concept.
is cool. Yeah.
I love.
so good.
I don't know. I know it's a little thing, but I love that you never have to reload. Like,
Yeah. Well, I like that it makes sense in the story.
Mm-hmm.
I also love. We'll talk off air, but I love what that gun is. The weapon, the service weapon.
I still am a little fuzzy. I have an inkling, but yeah, we'll talk off air because I don't want to ruin anything. But
Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool. So yeah, I'm totally digging it. I love the voice acting. I love the story. I love, how do you pronounce it? Is it Aki?
Oh yeah, Octi. I want to
The
say
janitor?
The janitor. I always just call him the janitor.
I just love hearing him talk, because apparently he's Norwegian. He keeps saying all these Norwegian words. I actually looked up a couple of them just to see what he was saying, and I just love the way he talks, and I want to know what's up with him. And you do, and I don't. So, but he's a fun character to watch in cutscenes. So
yes, yeah.
So
absolutely.
Control. I doubt I'll have it finished by next week, but I'm going to. I have to finish that by the end of the year. So what about you, Zach?
I'm sure you'll find a way to not play Death Stranding and play Control instead.
Twist my arm, man.
Yeah, no one twist very far. Yeah. No, I just want to say I finally caved and spent money on Warframe. So
really, like a lot of money, or
no, just like it. I think it was $8.
Oh, that's not bad.
The little PlayStation Plus thing. No, it's such a good game. It's so tremendous. I'm getting even deeper into it. I'm watching videos on YouTube to learn how to get into the mechanics better.
Nice.
I have a pet dog who attacks stuff. Pretty great. It's so. I wish you would play it, Scott. It's so good.
Well, see, if I were to play it, it's not just a matter of downloading it and playing it. I would have to get PlayStation Plus.
You don't have PlayStation Plus?
No.
You're doing a disservice to the show
by not having PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, I mean it's also on Xbox.
Oh, it is? I thought it was PlayStation only.
No, it's on Switch too.
Oh. So
yeah, it's just really good. I'm starting to get into the lore. I contemplated, but then reeled myself back in. I was like, maybe I should listen to a Warframe podcast.
Look at you.
But I reeled myself in. I caught myself off. It's really good, man.
Okay. Amber, what about you? Anything you've been catching up on?
Yeah, so I am catching up on Link's Awakening and Ni no Kuni on the Switch.
Nice.
My Switch goes everywhere with me, so I get little bitty tidbits of playtime on both of those. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past was my favorite Legend of Zelda, and I didn't get to play Link's Awakening when it was released on the Game Boy originally, so this isn't, it feels like a revisiting because I feel like mechanically it plays so much like A Link to the Past, but it's a completely new experience for me. So being able to pick it up and experience it is really, really awesome. And
here's the one key thing that you didn't have to experience playing that on Game Boy is since the Game Boy was limited to only 2 buttons, you had to actually equip the sword and the shield and the boots anytime you wanted to use it.
wow.
So now that you actually have a dedicated shield button, a dedicated, but the fact that you get to have just dedicated buttons for that makes that game so much better to play. It's really great. And you haven't finished it yet?
I have not finished it yet.
There are emotional moments in a Zelda game that I think you'll appreciate quite a bit.
Well, Amber, what's your favorite? You said Link to the Past, your favorite Zelda?
Yes, definitely A Link to the Past.
What's your stance on Majora's Mask?
It's so much different than the regular Zelda formula. I liked it, but I don't go back and revisit it.
Okay.
I have a lot of anxiety, so the time crunch for Majora's Mask makes me feel really anxious.
Thank you.
Sure. Well, that's what I.
And it's supposed to do
suffer
that.
from anxiety, but I like the anxiety that game gives me.
Yeah. No, I deal with that on a day-to-day basis. I don't need my game to further induce my anxiety.
How does Ni no Kuni look on the Switch?
It looks fantastic. It is an animated game, so it doesn't look vastly different than its PS3 predecessor. But it's always going to look fantastic. It's the same studio that's done so many of those great films. It's done by Studio Ghibli, if you did not know. The people who do Totoro and Spirited Away and all those really great animated films.
I just saw Spirited Away the first time, like last week.
That film gives me all the feels. It really does.
I gotta watch it again. I only made it halfway through.
Oh, it's really good.
Well, is that good, huh?
Yeah.
You loved it.
But
Scott has such specific tastes, this guy.
I didn't finish Ni no Kuni the first run through. I actually gave that PlayStation that I was playing on to a friend of mine, and like I wiped it. And then after I pressed the X button, I was just like, no, my save file, and just never went back.
That sucks.
So.
That's heartbreaking.
All right, well, that is going to do it for this episode of The Gaming Outsider. Amber, thank you so much for coming and joining us in this episode, especially last minute. We kind of called you up today.
Yeah, no, it's thanks for asking. It's been an honor and a pleasure.
Very cool. And where can our listeners follow you on social media or wherever?
Yeah, so I do my majority of social media on Facebook. That's facebook.com/Tekuzi, TECUZI. If you are into Blizzard games, I do stream a lot of World of Warcraft, and I'll be streaming more as far as when Diablo comes out and Overwatch 2 and all that good stuff.
All right, sounds good. And Zach, any parting words or recommendations for the listeners?
Amber, it was great. Great having Amber on, putting a face to the name.
Yeah.
Thank you, Amber, for continuing to listen, even though I feel like I go after so many things that you love. Yeah, it's great. Hey, Smirk's coming back in December.
I saw the post, man. Congratulations.
Yeah. So, season 3.
Nice.
Stop asking.
Nice.
It's gonna be great.
And
it'll be the greatest podcast you ever done listened to.
And I'll echo what Zach said. Amber, you're awesome to talk to and sharing your experiences there. You're welcome back at any time, as far as I'm concerned. So,
well, it depends. Have you played Nier Automata?
Yes, it's one of my favorite games.
Then you're welcome back.
I love
Absolutely.
that game. I love that game.
Love that game. It's an important thing to learn, Scott. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much to everybody out there for listening. Please be sure to email us if you have any questions or concerns. Our address is feedback@thegamingoutsider.com. Until next week, I'm Scott Clark with Zach Parkerson, and this week, Amber Lilly, and we are The Gaming Outsider. And remember, there's no such thing as a bad game, just games that aren't for you.